Yeah, today I learned that Nordschleife cannot be used as a YouTube title. That is incredible. Let me see if we can get someone. Ask Wesley whether or not if there's another person who can, because we'd prefer to have 15.
There we go. Oh, did you ask him that? Okay, cool.
I've just tagged him. I've just responded to his message, so it's effectively a tag. I also now need to put in the actual GT chat to make sure this guy knows what he's doing.
Okay, cool. We are actually live.
That's good news. Everyone's mic sound good and everything?
Yeah, I think so.
Sounds
People
good.
can tell us if it's not.
Evening, Deco.
Hello. Oh, and CMP.
Must have missed that. Apologies, CMP. Hello.
Just blanking it.
I only looked down at the bottom corner of my screen when Deco put something, right?
He gets first pick for Champions Cup and turns you against him.
Oh god, that actually starts on Thursday. Can't wait for that
should
either.
be good.
I definitely wasn't practicing last night at all, but yeah. Alright, so should we run through who's on what team for the final race of this season then? And then run through the format for this final race.
Let's go through the drivers.
Alright, we starting at the top or we starting at the bottom?
Let's start at the top. We started at the bottom last time.
Alright, let's go. So it is Project Platypus won all 7 prior races that lie at the top of the leaderboard so far, and they're running a fairly familiar lineup. Iggy in the M6. You got Iggy. You've got BX in the 458, and you've got Perry in the Mercedes AMG 20, which is an interesting one for this track at the very least.
Yeah, Perry a last minute substitute in to cover for someone else who couldn't make it. So be interested to see how he goes. Obviously, we've got double points, so the gap is effectively halved between Project Platypus and Arix for this final round. So they do still need to get basically a 4th, 5th, and a 6th should wrap it up regardless of what Arix can do tonight. Iggy and BX could potentially be on the podium. Perry could potentially be outside the top 10. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But yeah,
that's a lot that can change in this race, and a lot that needs to go right if you're Arix, if you want to win this title. And we have seen one ALR bottling this week already on Friday night. 2 endurance have just changed hands for no particular reason at all. No, I'm not salty about that. But
Did you lose another constructors title?
I missed one race. It's my 3rd missed race since I joined the goddamn league, and my team collapsed.
Oh dear.
But yeah, so second. Okay. But yeah, for the second we were just talking about. So Arix is in second. They need a miracle tonight in order to win this championship, but they're running back the same lineup as they were last week, which did not go all that well in the end. So Javi has been the predominant second place of this entire series. He's in the Vision, and Ben, or Arix MK, is in the Porsche 911, and he, was in the thick of things last time, I think, is the best way, maybe the kindest way of putting it as well.
He got himself a steward's penalty and also a lag strike for last week, for incidents with Iggy. So hopefully he's not lagging so much tonight, because that would kind of put a dampener on the finale, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the final one is Arix Slim, who we've had the information that man is hungover. and in cold weather. So this is going to go extremely well.
I don't think there's a track I'd want to do less hungover than Nordschleife, with the elevation change, going around so many corners, having to actually think about which corner's coming up next as well, because it's such a long track. You can't really race it in autopilot. So it's gonna be a long one for Slim, longer than everyone else's.
It's gonna feel like an eternity in that Mazda for Slim, especially if he doesn't hit the ground running tonight. That's a certain. The next in the lineup, I believe, the third place is currently V2, if I'm not
V2,
mistaken.
yeah.
They currently have Asseldor in the Merc 20 driving tonight. Slightly different livery, the silver and I think the silver and the German colours on the top of it. Then
Belgian. He's Belgian.
Yes, but it's in Germany, Ross. He's running a German livery.
Oh, is he running a German one? Oh, right. Okay. Well, I can't tell from here. It just looks silver to me.
Oh God, this is already falling apart. It's only just started.
Right. Who else is on this fucking team? Tell us.
Eroticos is in the NSX GT500 from the 2000s, which could be interesting given the fact that the fuel and the tires might be a little bit close
he should have a good one.
And I believe the other one is Kanata. Yeah, Kanata in the lobby, Martin 12102. We will call him Kanata. That's all we're calling him. He's in the Supra tonight and trying to get over the line for V2 into third position.
I think that Supra should be very good in qualifying. It's a pretty solid car. I think it might struggle on the tires around here, actually, but you can fuel save in it, and it's a rocket down the back straight as well.
Yeah, there's a massive chance for him tonight if he can prove himself. He's been a bit wishy-washy this season, so it's definitely go big or go home, but needs to figure it out. Then fourth, looking to try and jump themselves into third. Maybe start the season a little bit too slow for their liking, so they are bringing in A+ driver Chris, who we've seen the last couple of rounds. He's usually got good pace if he can avoid the mistakes, but he hasn't been able to so far this season.
Yep, I think he got wiped out in the last race as well, which didn't help.
Yeah, Pumpkin, who has also been very much the same kind of form. If you can avoid the incidents and the mistakes, you could probably find himself in a very good position tonight. And a new driver for the lineup, Distant 911, who's driving a Hurricane, because that makes sense.
Yeah, under the new format, it does make sense, I think. It should be really quick, and I'm really keen to know, for my own reasons for next season, how the tyres last on this car, and the fuel, if he has to fuel save and all that kind of stuff, or if it's just actually good. So, let's watch what he does, because I want to know.
Yeah, I want to know more information too.
Also, he's a B-rated driver, so that would suggest he's one of the slowest in the lobby, but we know that driver ratings don't mean too much. He could get pole position. We have absolutely no idea how fast this guy is, which is quite exciting. It'd be good if he can get in the mix on the final round.
We've got the fastest guy at the server over the last 3 weeks, the main Tier 2 champion is a B, so we're not gonna read too much into.
Perry was A at the start of the season and dropped down to B, so he's not doing well in the dailies.
we're not gonna read too much into the driver rating, honestly. And then the final team aren't even able to field a team of 3 today, which is disappointing in basically every right. Then you've got Clemson in the Merc 20. And Otto in the Super GT 500 from 1997 for Panthera.
Another one that's really good on tyres. So, apparently, according to Otto, it's lost loads of pace since the update, this old Supra. So, unlucky for him, but it might, because it does have the good top speed. It might be pretty good around here, and he might get some overtakes done on the back straight.
Yeah, we might be having to look out for that later on, especially this is more who can keep it on track more than who can actually have the pace in the first place. So with that set, I'm going to do a very quick restart of the times, the time of day and everything else, just to make sure that I've got the right settings. And then we are all but good to go. So This looks good to me. I don't think anything else is out of whack. So we are going to change the event settings.
Come on, Rain, let's go.
Bearing in mind that this is a case of we're doing qualifying as a one-shot without the qualifying system tonight, because the track is just extraordinarily long, and working out the timings and everything of that nature would be maybe too difficult if it starts raining, for example, if the room is ever going to load up.
I know, what's going on? Arix has left the room.
We call it Ben. Well, we call it Ben's fault. The
guy with the laggy, yeah.
It was not a good. That's not a promising start. But we got to go back now anyway. Everyone's readied up, even though they've been told what I'm gonna do.
There we go.
Oh my god. It's not raining.
It's not raining.
Boo!
Oh well.
I'm just putting it in. Everyone, if I can spell, can go. And we are essentially off. We are off and running here. We'll give you reverse commentator's curse and make you win. No.
What is reverse commentator's curse? We can't make you crash.
I mean, I think it's a case of we slander him, I guess, for doing nothing, and then he just goes on the win. That's the only thing I can think of, because nothing else makes sense in that scenario. For those who are setting off, we're currently going through the laps. Chris has got himself out. Otto's heading out. Pumpkin should probably start heading out. We've got 13.
Ben's still not joined.
We're
there we go.
now.
We've got 14 now. It's fine.
That was a rotter card, so 15. Yeah, we should be 14. Yeah.
So we've got Iggy. So let's talk a little bit about Iggy. He was telling me that because we're starting with 50% fuel, he's got to do a lot of fuel saving in the BMW on this outlap. So Javi might overtake him here, but yeah, he needs at least 27% fuel to push as hard as you can in the BMW, because you really need to rev out the engine in this car on the straight, and you can do like 20 seconds on full revs in 5th gear along the straight in this BMW. So going into 6th isn't really an option in qualifying if you want to be getting pole position, and he might actually run out of fuel if he doesn't do this outlap carefully.
Yeah, and well, Iggy's one of the most experienced drivers. He's arguably the best driver this server's ever seen. So it's not exactly like this should be too much of an issue, but of course he is human, and we've seen that before. But yeah, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. He's more than experienced enough to know what he has to do. Javi isn't going to push the needle realistically unless he absolutely has to. He's going to be more than content just sat behind Iggy for as long as possible. Build up maybe a little bit of a gap at the end of the lap and gain him a little bit of space. Slim, on the other hand, looks to be trying to force something early.
Yeah, both Arix guys putting a little bit of pressure on Iggy. Maybe this would be a tactic if they know what Iggy's problems are with the outlap. Kind of put Iggy under a little bit of pressure to go a bit faster, to avoid getting overtaken just before the lap starts and potentially having his lap ruined that way. So it's kind of a lose-lose situation Iggy's in at the moment. He has to push to either stay ahead of the Arix guys or let them pass and potentially catch up to them on the hot lap.
Yeah. And that did not look good. There goes Javi, who goes a little bit deep, and there goes everything we've just said for the last 20 minutes.
I take back everything that I said. Kanato, what are you doing? Get out the pits.
Let me do a very quick... Definitely not going to put anybody off by doing that. But it's only their outlap, so they're only 3 minutes through. It's not going to kill the race. We're just going to make sure that everybody that is actually in the lobby knows what they're doing. Cannot have just sat there for no reason. Everyone else is already 3 minutes all the way through.
I bet you anything he was waiting for like qualifying to start, and now he's just like, oh, okay, I'll go now.
even though qualifying has already started and it's been 3.5 minutes.
Oh man.
Well,
So
technically,
apart
actually,
from,
40.
apart from Kanata, who was the last person to leave the pits?
Eroticons, but that's because he joined late.
Roscoe's joined late, yeah.
Oh,
And
Distance
then
come
it
back.
looks like Asseldor. Oh, Distant. What's Distant doing? Why has he gone back to the pits? This is going to end up being a really long qualifying session if we don't... if we actually wait for all these people. Oh, he's out.
I don't have to message him then. Okay, so we are going to be waiting a little while. This is why we started at 7 and not 8.
Yeah.
For this precise reason. I had a funny feeling this would evolve into an absolute mess. Iggy is still the first one out. Slim is second. Javi is here as well. So we're going to figure out how the Arex boys are going to do qualifying in a minute. Bear in mind, they do need a huge qualifying from everybody. They can't have 1 or 2 anymore. It has to be all 3 on the boil straight away.
Yep. So who have we got? We got 2 Mazdas, and then I think Ben's in the Porsche. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The X is 4th on track.
So we know the Mazda's good on fuel, and it'll be good round here. The Porsche, you can be good on fuel if you upshift at the right times, and you don't really have to fuel save that much as well to do it. So as long as Ben's not revving out that Porsche right now, he shouldn't have any problems.
Capel saying we should have done reverse championship grid. The problem is there's not a driver's one, so we're not going through the whole motion of putting everyone at the back, for example. We're just going to let them do qualifying as they see fit, realistically. There is a reason why we just came forward with the lap time and with the actual start time, because we had envisioned this kind of thing starting already. It's going to be a long one. 16 laps of the Nordschleife 24-hour, Nürburgring 24-hour circuit. Yeah, we're going to be here for a couple hours. We're going to be here for the long haul, for certain. That's not going to be up for debate. I'm just hoping we get to see some carnage, some drama, and some twists in the twists and turns in terms of maybe a title race, maybe the fight for third, throughout the entirety of the night.
Yeah, and I'm expecting to see plenty of incidents. I mean, we've just seen one on an outlap when people aren't even pushing. So when they're actually pushing in the race, or potentially in qualifying, to be honest, we might see some very big gaps start to form quickly, and some people in quali expect to see like 15 seconds down off the pole time because they've had an incident somewhere on their only hot lap that they're allowed.
Yeah, it's as simple as you can make your mistakes now, but as soon as you get onto that hot lap, you have got to get it going. For 8 minutes, and you're not allowed a mistake because guaranteed the guys in the front aren't making mistakes. So there's a lot that could be riding on a very good quali or a very bad quali in this particular race. This particular night is going to be a 2.5 hours minimum. So
yeah.
There's a lot of chances for mistakes, a change in the tide. For example, if we have a change for the lead, mistake at the front, could be pretty deadly tonight.
Just a little look at Iggy's fuel. He's not on the back straight yet, and he's already, I would say that's like 30% left that he's got.
Yeah, just over halfway.
He might have to fuel save on his hot lap. This doesn't look like he's fuel saved very well.
It's going to be interesting because he is about, as you said, he's about 30% left in the car. Obviously, the fuel, maybe 4 laps, maybe 5 if you've got a decent fuel car. So it could be the case that he is just about over at 1. Either way, he's trying to cut it very fine, I think.
If Iggy runs out of fuel, that will make for a very interesting opening half an hour of the race, because he's going to have to come through the whole pack.
It doesn't look like he had a good start to his lap there either, as we are now officially underway for qualifying. We're not going to... It's 8.5 minutes into the session already, but we are now officially underway. Iggy, the first one over the line. And before we actually figure out where people are going to be, we do still have another 8.5 minutes. In Viking saying that if he runs out of fuel and never live it down, that's probably a fair assumption to make.
Yeah, well, he definitely doesn't have the 27. Maybe he got through on like 26. But yeah, that's cutting it mighty fine for Iggy.
Yeah, we are going to keep it very focused on the front of the grid for this qualifying. We'll see if there's any cards facing the wrong way. Can we use bumper cam for quali? No.
Bumper cam's horrible.
I'll give you chase cam at best, but we're definitely not using bumper cam.
So Iggy looks like he's having a fairly good infield. Well, it's not the infield actually; it's the GP section of the track. He is revving out as hard as he can on these gear changes as well. So he is pushing 100%. So that would indicate that he is fairly confident that he's going to have enough fuel.
Yeah, it seems like he has in fact saved enough. So he's going to go at this full throttle, essentially as much as he physically can. We're looking, I think, somewhere in the region that did not look too good.
No, yeah, he had a really wide entry and then nearly lost traction on the exit there. Should we have a look at? Nah, should we have a look at Javi and see how his lap's going?
Yeah, let's have a look. So Iggy, we don't really have the ability to take a look over sector signs, which would be beautiful right about now. The MFD at the bottom of the map, at the bottom of the screen, doesn't actually function as an MFD. Probably should, which is depressing.
A little bit wobbly through that corner there for Javi. Took a little bit too much curb. He's really eating the curbs actually, which is making him lose a little bit of grip in the car. And under these new physics, it is easier to lose traction and get extra wheel spin, which of course loses you time as when you start accelerating. So it looks like that's what Javi was struggling a little bit with there, as well as a bit of wheel spin. His tires were screeching a lot, which is the best indicator under these new physics of if you are wearing your tires out quicker or not quicker. Oh, Javi really nearly loses it there, but saves it pretty well. Goes wide on the entry into the corner as a result, probably trying to gather himself. 2:45.9 was his time through that sector.
That was a heavy snap there through the middle of essentially a straight when you get into sixth gear on the back there. But yeah, there's still a long time to go, and we're looking at the little increases. I can't speak.
English.
Yeah, we're looking at the different ways that the drivers are going through the laps. There is a word for this, the one I was looking for, but I can't speak. I'm not going to try and say it again. But at the end of the day, these small mistakes will add up over an 8-minute lap.
Incremental mistakes, is that what you're trying to say?
No.
If you know what Pyro's thinking, put it in the chat, because neither of us know.
I definitely know, I just can't speak English tonight, which is going to bode extremely well for the next 2.5 hours.
Great. I'm going to have to do the heavy lifting then, I guess. Okay. What's Slim up to, anyway?
We could see no one looking like they were having a mistake or two. Well, through the lap.
Look at the tires though. Like he's not even halfway. Oh, real power slide through that corner. They're already struggling quite a lot, so I think tire wear is going to be a big issue. We might not see the soft tires too often in the feature race, in the main race. Sorry.
Looking at it now, he's got ever so slightly better tires than Javi. There's not an awful lot of a difference between the three.
I'm surprised at that as well. I think the Mazda's meant to have better tires than the BMW at the moment. So BMW obviously quite good as well. But if you are taking too much speed or accelerating through the corner...
Oh, there goes Slim in the wall!
Dear.
There you go. That's the first big mistake we've seen tonight in terms of actual laps that matter. And Slim has just barreled his car straight into a wall and now has a BX bearing down upon him, which means that
he's got damage as well, so BX is likely to catch him on this lap.
Yeah, that definitely... Oh, that's a voice break. Yeah, that definitely means he's going to be some way down the leaderboard now, Slim, and that is not where Arix are wanting to be if they're going to mount a miracle title comeback here.
No.
Let's have a look. Still doesn't look like anything gone too wrong at the front of the grid here between Javi and Iggy. Those two going through what? Just over the half. Yes, that's the word. Thank you, Fracas. Thank you. Thank you. I knew what I wanted to say, just couldn't say it. But yeah, it doesn't look like we've had many mistakes at the front. BX and
Whoa.
to say that.
I think that was lag. Ben's lag is not better at all. Look at that. That's a lot worse than last week, actually.
He is starting to just slowly but surely teleport across the track as we're going through.
Is it a good lap? We don't know.
We will tell you if it's a good lap at the end of qualifying, because there's so many splits that we physically can't keep up. Not without more data than we currently have.
Look at his how much fuel he's got left, by the way. So he's still got just under 25%. Have a look at BX.
Yeah, BX is.
BX has far less, and have a look at Iggy.
Oh yeah,
he's in the red.
Okay.
Oh man, this is crazy. I don't know if he's gonna finish this lap. You know.
He is still half a minute up the road to everyone else. Remember, especially to Ben and BX and what we were watching. Something's going on back there. What's going on? Slim's in the wall again,
Slim,
and BX is gonna go by.
That's a big favour for BX because that was going to be a problem for him towards the end of the lap, being stuck behind Slim. Slim. What about Ben behind? He's got past Slim as well, I'm guessing. Otto's got a half-second penalty.
Otto's going to start last. Otto's going to start last if he doesn't serve his penalty in this lap. I don't know how far away he is.
He'll serve it.
He should, yeah, you're right. I didn't know. I couldn't remember how close the pit we were to the actual line here, to the penalty zone. But yeah, it's not a good time to take a penalty when you're a one-shot qualifying and you've essentially got no error, no margin for error at all. You make mistakes, you're going to get punished. Let's have a look. We're going down the line now. We're actually going to stick with Iggy because he's actually quite toward the end of his lap. Harry in the background there. So we'll stick with these two. Then we'll go to BX because BX at the start of the straight and work our way back as everyone is actually seemingly far enough behind to the qualifying. Hasn't been an absolute mess.
Iggy's in 6th gear. He didn't need to be in 6th gear, but he obviously didn't feel comfortable enough to stay in 5th gear on the straight. So he'll have lost a couple of tenths, I reckon.
Well,
but he's pretty much finished the lap now, so...
I was about to say 805 is where we're looking at, but it's an 803 here for Iggy. Javi the next to the line. Is he going to better that down to line? 801, 802, 803. He is by 2/10 of a second. BX is the next one up to the line then. Slim into the one after that, but Slim, quite frankly, has no real lap time for it to go off. BX clipping the wall just a little bit there. BX has had a bad lap.
Yep, he's had a very bad lap. He's multiple seconds behind, so he'll slot into P3 when he crosses the line. 5 seconds off the back of Iggy. Then we've got Ben coming through the last couple of corners.
Not on a good lap either. He's 58 as he comes through the final couple of corners. He's up over the 8-minute mark as he heads onto the back straight, so it's not going to challenge the first two. Is he going to challenge BX? He is actually just behind him.
0.04 behind.
Is Otto the next one to the line? Slim's already finished his lap and thing. Yep, Otto is the next one to the line. He served his penalty. His lap has been atrocious.
He's already 8 minutes 12 and we're not even at the final corners yet. Chris very close behind him, so potential for Chris to have a decent lap when he crosses the line, but Otto coming up first, really struggling in this qualifying session, and he's going to be sliding into 6th, even behind Slim.
13, 14, only good enough for 5th. Perry's the next one up. Asador the next one as well, which means one of these two have not had a good time, and it's Perry because he got damage. Perry got damage.
Dear.
Asador's coming to the line. Perry is at 8:19. That's only enough for 7th. Asador did it at 8:13, which means we're now going further back. It's not good for Clemson either. He's on a 17, 18. He might be back behind Slim and Otto here.
These laps are atrocious. These laps are not eSports standard laps. These are bad laps here.
16, 17. 17 is good enough for 7th. Auto Eroticos is the next one to the line. Again, another one not in a good position whatsoever. Bearing in mind, we've now got half the lap to wait for the 2 other drivers who actually who are on their laps now. Have these guys practiced? It doesn't look like it. Eroticos with an 8. I think that's yeah, 8:18 is only good enough for 8th. This has not been a good time. Pumpkin and Chris need to get back on the track. Someone needs to tag them real quick. And we're going to go to...
Yep, Kanata's the next one. So let's have a look at Kanata's lap. So a lot of these... laps, laps have been pretty bad. I think the top 3 have set decent laps. And then I would argue that anyone in the top 3 tiers in ALR could be in 4th place right now if they just had a normal lap without incident. I think all these drivers have had incidents that we've missed in qualifying, and it's put them really low down on the lap.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
so Kanata in the GR Supra, like we were saying, is very good in a straight line. So it should be catching some of these drivers on this long back straight, especially like the Porsches, for example. The AMGs as well are nowhere near as quick as this Supra. So Kanata has a really good chance to finish potentially in the top 5 if he's had a tidy lap. He's already on 8 minutes 4s though, so it doesn't look too good for Kanata.
It depends on what you want to define. Good drive lobby streams on YouTube. It depends on what you want to define as good. Kanata 16, 17, 74 is just ahead of Pumpkin Patch
Still
and just behind
top
Chris.
5. So now we've only got Distant left to go. He's just about to enter the back straight. This is the Lambo Huracan, so the first time this has been raced at eSports, because before the update it was not very good. Now a lot of drivers are singing its praises. It is still quite tricky to control, but it corners really well, and it's got good tyres by the looks of things, and good fuel by the looks of things as well.
I don't think he's challenging anyone here, purely because it's already 7:51. He'd only just hit the straight, never mind coming to the end of it. If he was going to go for a time at the front of the grid, he needs to be at the final corner now.
Yeah, he does.
So he's going to be bad. He's going to be in for a rough time here. Is he going to be able to beat the 22? That's the gap. It's a 25 for 24 for Slim and 23 for Clemson.
Yeah, he'll be around about there by the looks of things.
I don't think he will. I think he might be a lot further back than that. 22, 23. Yeah, he's not going to beat any of them. He's going to be last.
Okay.
It's a really bad lap here for Distant. It's in the phase. An 8:33.7.
All that build up for last place by 8 seconds. Okay, so a baptism of fire on his debut for Distant. Not the qualifying he would have been expected. But yeah, potentially he made a mistake or had a spin and will be overtaking cars in the race. We'll have to see.
He's gonna have to. Right, so we've got everyone on the track at the moment. I need everyone to stay on track. And then,
Slim only 12th in the end. Perry only 10th.
Yeah, that's not good.
And then, yeah, Ben in 4th. Javi getting pole position. Iggy only 2nd, and BX only 3rd.
Yeah, so 8,
really
3,
good
3,
qualifying
3,
for
3,
Javi.
because
the first thing that absolutely needed to happen for Arix was to get pole position. That is 2 points, because obviously it's double points here.
Yeah, he's managed to just get himself closer to what we were before. So Iggy is in 2nd, BX is in 3rd, Ben in 4th. He needs to get a good start. Unfortunately, it's in a Porsche. Good luck with that. So yeah, the top 4 split by 5 seconds. Those two. Those 4 in the only one in single digits in the 8 minute loads. Asador next one 8:13.9, and then we had Chris, who I believe was an 8:14 actually, early 14. Then Kanata, Pumpkin Patch, Eroticos, Perry, Clemson, Slim, Auto, and Distant. And the reason why I've done that is because just in case this doesn't actually work and I have to separate. Because I have absolutely no trust in this game sometimes. Just one more check to make sure we are right.
Looks like it. Looks like we're good to go.
Just going to put a start in soon just to make sure they're all aware. So 16 laps. It doesn't look like Wesley's showing up, so we're going with 15.
Yeah.
Hello, Higgsy. Just made it just in time to start this race. Let's go.
Yeah, let's get going. 2 hours. So buckle in, boys, because we're going to be here for the next 2 hours until at least 9:30, maybe a little bit longer because of final laps and all that kind of stuff. If it starts raining as well, that will just be lovely. But it's going to be a dry start at least.
It depends on what lovely. It depends on how you define lovely. For us and everyone watching, we get more racing. If you're a driver, good luck.
I want it to start raining just after they pass the start-finish line. So they've got to do a whole lap on wet track.
So Ross is the devil.
Yes.
Here we go. 5 red lights. It's lights out. Away we go. It actually looked like a half decent start for the Porsche there of all things, but he's actually going to be overtaken after 100 meters here as BX is launching into the lead of that Ferrari, and he's hit the front in turn 1. Javi in second. Ben is just about fighting for third with Iggy right now, and he's actually fighting with Asseldor, who's got the inside line and maybe about to overtake him. No, he's not. So the front 4 almost starting as they were, but second and third jumped. Second and third now jumped by the person who started third in the actual race.
Yep, so great start for Project Platypus. They can control the race with one of the drivers in P1 and the other one in P3. Perry also up 2 spots into 8th place off the start. So all around a decent start for Project Platypus. And we got Javi, who's dropped down to 2nd now and under a little bit of pressure from Iggy on lap 1 as well. And Ben MK really close behind also. Then we got Asseldorf for V2 heading off Chris in the fight for P3 in the championship. Then there's Kanata and Perry very, very close behind. So good start there for Kanata, putting pressure on these guys.
Yeah, bearing in mind Kanata and Chris are fighting for the actual place in terms of V2 versus Pegasus for third. Here comes Perry round the outside. Can he get it done? He absolutely can. What a move on the outside there by Perry as he moves up into 7th place. Chris is the next one on the list. Let's see if anything's happening into the chicane. Not really, but Javi is holding on from Iggy as we head onto the ring for the first time. Well, onto the Nordschleife for the first time in this race.
Yep, Iggy putting loads of pressure on Javi here. So, really making sure Javi's driving as best as he possibly can because he can't afford to lose another position now. He needs to really be closing in on BX if anything.
Yeah, and we need, for title purposes, we need Derek to start moving in on the rest of the grid.
Yep.
It looked like Perry
Where
is
is Slim? Let's have a look.
It didn't look very good because the Distant moved himself off last, and the Roticod is actually the one that's last now because he is sliding all over the place in the background of our picture there. It doesn't look like
really
a good
start from Distant in the
Here
Huracan.
comes Slim to the inside!
Oh, that is not good.
Yeah,
that is penalty worthy, 100%.
Well, you can tack 5 to Slim at the very least. If that gets reported, that's a certain. Distant. Definitely, his flying lap in the qualifying was trial by fire, and Slim has not made it any easier for him in the actual race.
That was bad. Usually I say, oh well, we have to wait and see what actually gets reported, but that was bad. There's just absolutely that was like a dive bomb in a corner that you just cannot make a dive bomb. You're turning as you're braking for the very first time into a corner like that.
Oh, we got an issue! Clemson's off the track!
Big error from Clemson into the gravel, and Slim just avoids him as well as he rejoins.
There goes Distant as well!
Distant off as well. So really easy to outbrake yourself, especially if you're battling other cars. Perry's all over the back of Chris now, so he's done pretty well in this opening section to catch up to the cars ahead. He's going to maybe lose a bit of time now. I wonder what tyre Chris is on.
They're all on softs, I think.
Everyone's on softs as well. Okay, this is all on pace.
Yeah, looking down the grid, absolutely no one changed their tyre between qualifying and the race. But yeah, Asseldor getting a little bit of a gap now to Chris, who's got 2 tenths to Perry, and Kanata needs to get himself in the right direction now because he looks like he's dropping back more than anything else. So we know we've got essentially 2 battles that we're going to focus on. Obviously, Arix versus Project Platypus, because it's not mathematically done yet, albeit. Good luck. You're going to need something special. And then the actual battle for P3 between V2 and Pegasus here, which is a lot closer, and double points has made it is going to make it even closer by the time we get to the end of this one.
Yep, and just having a look through the grid, it looks like Javi is still holding Iggy off, and Chris isn't putting a foot wrong, so he's not really giving Perry an opportunity to get an overtake done either.
If anything, he's closing in on Asador.
He has
so you
closed
start
in on
have a.
Asador, right.
We're starting to see just a little bit of packs forming at this point. So you've got the front four, then you've got these four. It's almost like if you're watching Olympic cycling, where you've got just different groups breaking off every in each of the sections of the track here, and we've got a couple of cars there in the background as well. I think that's Slim and Pumpkin Patch. It is, if the camera angle will ever actually go to them.
Yeah, that was a weird one. Yeah, Slim's catching up to Pumpkin Patch, so we all got past Auto at some point as well, Slim.
Oh, we've got an overtake at the front. And it looked like, Iggy's got past Javi, and that's a little bit of a blow here.
Yeah, really good overtake there from Iggy. So now Project Platypus are 1-2. Javi's lost 2 positions so far on this opening lap. And now it's Arix 3-4. So I wonder if Javi chose to battle too hard or not, that one. Because strategy is going to come into this massively here. Depending on how many pit stops you can make, different cars might be able to make different pit stops depending on the fuel and of course the tires. We know Iggy's car's not good on fuel, so he's going to have to come in at the end of lap 2. Some of these cars, like the Mazda, if you're saving fuel, potentially could do the 3 laps, which is a huge advantage if he can stay close to Iggy and then get an extra pit stop worth of time by the end of the race, because he has to pit less.
Yeah, it's more a case of, I don't know if they'll go for 3 now, but they certainly will go for 5 later on if they can get the fuel.
Yeah.
That's where the market's going to change a little bit, isn't it? Because right now, the first couple of laps, everyone's on softs. Everyone's got essentially the same amount of fuel. No one's going to do a third lap, I don't think. I don't think they're that good at fuel saving. But then you get into your next set. You obviously have to use a different set of tyres at some point. In terms of the different compounds, so you'll factor in when they use their mediums, you'll factor in whether or not they go 4 or 5, and if they go 5, then essentially that could be means for a pit stop less later on in the race, for example. And obviously, as you were saying, the pit stop here isn't exactly short. I'm not entirely sure how it isn't short, but it isn't short. So there's a lot that can change. Obviously, weather as well. There's an 8-minute lap. If you get caught in the wrong place at the wrong time for the weather, then it's going to be potentially catastrophic.
Yeah, absolutely. But it is looking mighty sunny at the moment. Of course, this is a 24-hour situation that we've got here. Yeah, cycle, that's the word. Because so we're going to have pretty much half the race-ish at night time. We started in early morning, so expect to see that towards the start of the second hour, I would hazard a guess. Yeah,
we started at it was late morning we started.
Late morning.
About 9:30 in game, because that's late morning apparently. There's a 6-hour time difference in game between late morning and afternoon, so we won't see any difference in the actual visuals or anything in tyre temperatures or anything.
BX is slowing down. Did he have a penalty?
He might have. He definitely isn't up to speed. He's definitely a lot closer.
Iggy and Javi are right behind him now. He might have just about got away with it because the braking zone has just appeared. So we might be seeing some team games at play here, depending on if BX starts holding Iggy up or not.
We would expect we wouldn't expect that to happen, given BX was very much clear for the start. But once again, at the start of a race, that BX gets a penalty.
Here we go. Iggy's going for it.
This is interesting. A little bit. This might be coordinated, you know. Diggy down the inside. No, never mind. It doesn't look too coordinated. As Iggy is going to take the lead.
Yeah.
Javi's going to touch the back of BX into the back of Iggy there. It didn't look too nefarious, but.
No, a little concertina effect because Iggy had to slot in. BX had to slot in behind Iggy to avoid getting challenged from Javi. So instead, he got a little bump.
Yeah.
So this is very interesting for Javi because these two. I mean, Iggy's overtaken BX, but BX is right on the back of Iggy. BX actually stretched quite a decent gap on that first lap before getting that penalty. So potentially he does have better pace. He did out-qualify Iggy. Oh no, he didn't. He qualified just behind Iggy. But we know BX made a mistake, and Iggy didn't really look like he made a mistake on that qualifying lap. And Iggy also is saving fuel on this lap as well.
Yeah, we're also being told that something happened in the mid-pack here, which we're not entirely sure. Actually, it looked like Kanata the one that missed it. It looked like Kanata the one that's lost it all, because he's now down in 47 seconds off of Clemson. Distant has managed to get himself one place further back up. He's into 12th. Auto's in 11th. Eroticos, from the worst start he could possibly have imagined, is up into 10th. Pumpkin needs to start catching a couple of guys. Slim is starting to make his way through, eventually. Getting into position
he's slowly, he's up to 8th now, after he had a very bad start outside the top 10, so he's up to 8th already, and he's got 3 cars that he could potentially pick off over the course of this lap.
I was about to say, the problem for Slim is that he's got Chris and Asador splitting him and Perry, because bearing in mind, not only do they have to beat their respective opponent here, so obviously they're the clear 1, 2, and 3 driver in all these teams, realistically. So
this is interesting. Slim is upshifting halfway, so he is extreme fuel saving at the moment, and I don't think he's going to be trying an overtake. I think he is going to just get them in the pits.
You might be right. He might be the one. He might be one trying 3, which is what you were mentioning earlier. And trying 3 would be extraordinary.
Yeah.
But if your car can do it, I guess the option's there, and that's why the options are there, obviously. Iggy's still in the lead from BX from Javi, and we're watching the battle here between Slim and Chris, with Asador just peering over in the distance there in the foreground of our shot. And now the background, with Perry starting to break away, which is not good news for Slim, and he needs to keep tabs with that Project Platypus car for basically everything he's worth right now. Because at the end of the day, they need a 1-2-3 here, Arix, and they need they need to force it, essentially. But they can't force it too much, because obviously if you force it too much around the Nordschleife will bite you back.
Yeah, but Slim is one of the top drivers in this lobby, and he's had a few podiums this season already.
Yellow flag! Yellow flag! That? Who is it? It's BX! It's BX!
Oh my god, it's struck again, the curse of BX Royal. Constantly spinning most rounds of his season, and he's dropped all the way back.
Is he going to go before
He's not even moving.
No, he's waiting for people to go by. He's going to drop to last.
He is, and now he's up and running again. This is the biggest disaster possible for Project Platypus. He's now 32 seconds behind Iggy, someone he was above just less than a lap ago.
And all of a sudden, if you're Arix Javi, you're definitely cheering to yourself just a little bit on the side of that. That's a certain. But can Arix believe a little bit more after on lap 2 here? Distant, having a little bit of a snap.
Ooh.
Just about saving that car.
Yeah, too much curb on the exit there, but he managed to save it. He's putting a lot of pressure on and trying to make his way up the grid. So I think it's safe to say he just had a poor qualifying, and now he's showing that he has a bit of pace on these guys at the tail end. Arix Slim up in 7th now, so that promotes him and the other 2 Arix boys up a spot. So it's looking good, 2, 3, and 7 compared to 1, 4, and 13. So that will be a big victory on the night for Arix.
Here comes Chris and Asador. Here comes a different battle entirely, P3 in the championship as a whole, and it looked like Chris has just rounded the outside of Asador there. And that is a well-needed overtake.
Really difficult to overtake around the outside there. There's only one optimal line through that corner, and you really need to take it to get a good slingshot up the hill. Chris managed to not only get that line, get the overtake done, but now he's gapping Asador up the hill, even with slipstream. So that's proved how good a corner that's been for Chris. Really great overtake.
It might be happening. We might be seeing one. We might be just about to encounter something magical tonight, Russ. Honestly, it's starting to unravel.
The pressure will be on Iggy's shoulders now. He's in a great position still for Project Platypus. They've built themselves a huge points lead. This is double points tonight, so he would get double the points of a race win if he keeps P1, and that would be enough for Project Platypus to win the championship as it stands. So the Arix boys have to think about a way of dealing with Iggy, I guess.
They know Iggy is essentially in a place where he no longer has teammate support, and he's potentially in need of an extra pit stop to both the Arix lads, which is
Slim under a lot of pressure from Pumpkin.
Oh, fucking Jesus Christ, Atador's loosening his car a little bit there.
I was about to say Slim's under a bit of pressure from Pumpkin Patch, but now Slim's going to start putting the pressure on Asador after that mistake. Yeah. So he'll be sniffing return to the top 6, only on lap 2. We saw him in the wars a little bit on lap 1, but yeah, he's really nailing these corners so far, Slim.
Yeah, and of course, Slim sees 2 cars in front of him, and he has to get them both, and he goes off the track and somehow managed to keep the car running. He's playing with fire here, Slim, and he might be about to get burnt. Here comes Pumpkin, who's just trying to size up Slim a bit now after Slim's got dirty tyres.
I knew I was commentators cursing him when I was saying that. I knew it. I was like, he's going to go off right now. I'm being too nice to him. And Pumpkin Patch is less than 4 tenths behind him now after that mistake. But he's not in a part of the track where you can get an overtake done. We're approaching the straight though, so that is going to be an opportunity.
Slim, as you said earlier, Slim might be in a position to get an extra lap. You see his tyre not in the red yet. We'll see if he's actually been fuel saving enough.
But if he doesn't get an extra lap, he's still got a chance when everyone's fueling up. He might not even have to put in a full tank of fuel, and a lot of people will. And if he keeps fuel saving like this, he could come out 2 positions ahead of where he is now and be in the top 5.
Yeah, as we said before, so if we went at the end of the last stream and at the top of the show today, we were talking about what was necessary for Arix to try and make the miracle comeback happen, because that's what we're labeling it, because it would be. And it essentially starts with a 1-2-3. Obviously that can change now that BX has fallen off the back. Unfortunately, it's a bit too early to count him out.
So Iggy's coming to the pits now, so that is how far up the road the main drivers are. Javi has gone for the extra lap, so we were saying the Mazdas were able to. Ben's coming in. I expect Perry to come in as well when he rounds, but there's
Perry doesn't have a choice.
Gap. There's a big gap between Arix, Ben. Yeah, Perry's already in the red, so you're not going to be getting an extra lap in if you're already in the red.
Oh, look at that though. Ben's got 7%, well, actually he's got 8% on Iggy and 5% on Perry, so he's going to gain a little here. Slim stayed out as well, as you were called, early into this race, so Slim's going to go one more. This could get very interesting.
Yeah, this would be the trademark of Arix's season. Going long, trying to make less pit stops than everyone else, and make the tyres work for them. So it's only them and Doroticos in their extremely overpowered NSX when it comes to tyres, even more so than pre-update. It's crazy. They're the only ones coming out. Iggy's 6.6 seconds behind him.
2.1 seconds ahead of Ben. That's a lot closer than it was before, wasn't it?
Yeah, so Ben will be trying to close the gap on Iggy. Let's see how much fuel both of them put in. So Ben only put in enough for 3 laps. Iggy
went the whole way and went on the
he's going to try and do a 4-lap stint, but also with fuel saving. What tyres are Ben on?
Softs versus mediums right now.
Yeah, so Ben is closing in. He's only 1.7 behind now, so he needs to get past Iggy to make this strategy work out for him. He's going for undercuts on Project Platypus compared to the overcuts of Slim and Javi.
This gets interesting, because obviously we're about to make something extremely hyperbolic if Ben gets past Iggy here, right?
But after last week.
If Ben gets by the end of this lap, they will be 1-2-3 at that point in time.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not like it's impossible. We're not ruling it out yet, and we obviously had the BX issue from the start, actually talking about that. BX back up into 11th by now. Up ahead.
He's putting a full tank as well on the mediums, so he's trying the same strategy as Iggy right now.
As Distant only went half on his tank and is on soft again.
So he's going to do 2 laps on soft, so he'll be the next person to pit after the guys on this lap. He'll be pitting on the following one for his 2nd stop already. That's an interesting strategy.
It's a very, there's going to be a lot of different strategies here. I think there's full tank Pumpkin on the mediums as he just dances a little bit through the grass there. Mediums full tank for Asador as well. Mediums are not quite a full tank for Chris, so he's going 4 laps, not 5. Yep. So he might be in the same boat as Iggy in terms of everything here. Perry again. Yeah, very much.
I would say that's 4 laps on mediums for Perry.
Yeah, Roticod's obviously not yet pitting. Ben is closing in into half a second now on Iggy, and Ben's going to do...
Roticod has had a mistake there. He was ahead of Iggy, and now he's 12 seconds back.
Pyro hyperbole condemns Alex 123 to death.
Right, yeah, let's stick with this.
Almost.
Ben pushing a little bit too hard at the moment to catch up to Iggy. He's only 6 tenths behind now, so he's closed the gap by nearly 2 seconds since coming out the pits. He's got lower fuel on board and a softer compound of tyre, so every advantage sits with Ben apart from track position at the moment.
Yeah, we've got a long... Obviously, it's a long way to go, right? And if that BX spin was lap 15 of 16... this would look a lot different than having an absolute mare up the hill there. Yeah, if the spin was lap 15 and 16, we'd be talking about this with a lot more intrigue than we currently are. But yeah, there's still a chance. Still a minuscule chance of this happening. Ben's got to fix his his sliding here. He's
going to be
all the way through the corner.
absolutely tearing through these tyres the way that he's taking these corners, bringing way too much speed into them. Wide again in that corner. He's got the pace on Iggy, but Iggy has actually extended the gap by 7 tenths over this sector alone. Again sliding.
This is just... he's got to control this slide because he's losing it here. Also, Roticod must have made another mistake. He's now 17 seconds back instead of the 12 we were watching. So Roticod is all over the place. Perry has now got by him. Chris is the next one on the road. You know, the asshole after that, distant in 9th, which is not good news. If you're Pumpkin Patch, you have spanned the car.
Oh dear. Pumpkin
now
outside the top 10 now, under a bit of pressure from
Oh, and he's got into the wall! And that's an oversteer. That's a snap. That's a
back
bit
into the wall again.
Yeah, his car has just snapped in 2, and that might be... and that might be the
It's a hammer blow. It's a hammer blow for Pegasus, who are trying to get that P3. P13 only gives you 3 points towards the championship, which is 6 in this double points finale. Yeah, Clemson on the grass a little bit. This is great news for Javi and Slim. Obviously, this strategy's not working out for Roticus because he's been caught by the people who've pitted already, so he can't just focus on the track ahead. But Javi and Slim absolutely can.
The one person that isn't too happy, the one issue that they're going to have is that's promoted BX another position, first off, and BX still has another 13 laps to rectify the mistakes.
Yes, and as long as he doesn't spin again.
Yeah, when you get the fastest man 13 laps to rectify anything, he's probably going to rectify it. To answer the question what happened to BX, he just span up the hill on lap 1, I think it was, right? Or lap 2, one of the two.
He was bleeding on lap 1, and then lap 2 he span all on his own. I think we didn't see the spin. We just saw him have to wait for the entire grid to drive past him before he could get going again because he was in a dangerous position.
Yeah, he was just parked up on the edge of the track, distant. It's just starting to gap BX a little bit here, which is an interesting scenario to unfold.
He's on the fresh softs compared to mediums, so he's got a bit of an assistance there.
Also, Roticos must have had a lap from absolute hell.
Yes.
Because he's just been caught by Chris and Asador as well, and his car does not look like it's treated him very nicely at all as he comes out one of the carousels there.
He's struggling, and look how low his fuel is. Is he even going to make it back to the pits?
I think so. I think he might just about make it. Chris and Asador there. So, Slim, we'll see where Slim is in reference to Chris and Asador when they come out, when they go to the pits on this lap. 44 seconds split the lead and Ben. 59 splits the lead and Perry. So he's definitely going to get out ahead of Perry. Is he going to get out ahead of Ben?
Ben's
had
8 seconds behind Iggy. Yeah, this is going pretty poorly. As one of the random ALR members joined and left the room. Yeah, it's going very poorly for Ben in his quest for kind of dismounting Iggy for that podium position. Iggy should get out ahead of Javi and Slim because they have to well, I'm assuming they're going to fully fuel. They might still be ahead of Ben though with these mistakes. Ben's starting to close in on Iggy a little bit since we joined him, but it's as to be expected with the tyre and fuel advantage that he's got.
He's still sliding the entire way through this track. I'm not entirely sure he realizes that that's not the quickest way around the circuit. Oh my god, he's snapped it again. As he goes out a mini carousel, I believe, there, and he's just got... Oh, he's in the wall! He's in the wall! He's managed to save it, but that is going to cost him even more time, and tack another second on, and probably more, as he's going to get back up to speed down the straight here. So, Javi in the pits. 34 seconds. Oh, Slim's out of fuel!
Slim is out of fuel! I was wondering how the hell Iggy caught up to Slim so quickly. Slim is out of fuel in the worst possible part of the track. The uphill, very long straight. Ben is going to pass him comfortably. Perry might by the end of the lap. You could see Perry and Chris just behind. This is a disaster for Slim. This is potentially where they have lost any chance of fighting for the championship. We've still got so long left of this straight. Look, he's still coming around the corner. Perry's going to catch fairly quickly, I think.
Perry and Chris are going after each other. Iggy is currently in the lead of this race. He has
Slim
got
might
himself in
actually
front.
be a problem for Perry and Chris coming into this braking zone.
It
Look at
might
them coming
be
fast.
Chris having to back out there. I think Chris was going for it until Slim got in the way. Not an awful lot that could be done there. It's unfortunate. And Perry's got off the track! Perry's off the track!
So Perry makes a mistake and hands fourth place to Chris, who's going to drive away with a lot of damage there on Perry's car. Slim still hasn't even made the pit lane yet. Meanwhile, Javi's in and out behind Iggy now.
Came out in front of Ben. This would have been a lot better for them if Ben had kept to the back of Iggy, hadn't done his spin, obviously, and he would have been right up on the back of Iggy. Javi would have been there as well. They would have both been 4 seconds off the lead of the race. They would have had 2 people in and around where they needed him to be. Unfortunately, the third one has been essentially handicapped by his own inaccuracies.
This is going to be a long recovery drive for our hungover man, Slim.
All of a sudden, Slim needs rain, and he needs it very quickly.
Yeah. He did so well in that opening stint, but he probably pushed a little bit too hard to overtake some of those cars, because he started the second lap definitely under the fuel required to do the 3 laps. So the ultra fuel saving on lap 2 wasn't enough. Lap 3, sorry, wasn't enough. And yeah, his hopes of a top 10 are a lot slimmer now, let alone a podium.
Yeah, Slim's hope of a top 10 did in fact become slimmer. You are right. That is absolutely heartbreaking if you're an Arik fan in the chat right now watching that unfold. He's had it. Arik's had a potential opportunity fall right into their grasp after
they should be second, third, and fourth right now, which is one Iggy mistake away from winning the championship. They've also got the fastest lap at the moment, which I'm expecting to drop because Javi set that on fuel saving. An 8:08 is 5 seconds below what pole position was, but these guys are capable of lapping in the 7 minutes as well, these top guys.
Yeah, if they can get it right. Perry obviously lost that position to Chris, and Chris is having one of those days, isn't he? He got the pace. We knew he had the pace. We've known this since Spa. He got the pace to compete. Especially on the fringes of a podium place, anyway.
Yeah.
He's just got to avoid a mistake now. His rival there that he was fighting through the entirety of the last lap has made his mistake. So it's all down to the Pegasus driver now to drive this home.
Chris has been released, and this is giving him a great opportunity to build a cushion and basically cement Pegasus's spot in as third place. They are in P4 and P8, and Astor's the only other V2 driver in P6 there. So it's going much better for Pegasus compared to V2 so far in the race.
Yeah, it's
partly because Eroticos made loads of mistakes as well.
Yeah, but so is Pumpkin Patch. So they're kind of evening themselves out. Mateo, get out the lobby. What are you doing in here? Perry is starting to close in just a little bit, or was, until they hit the uphill there. It's Chris is just starting to just start making a name for himself at the moment. So 3.9 is pretty much identical to what it was at the beginning of the lap anyway. Ben 5.6 is he's got to get it going, and he just isn't at the moment.
He's losing time to the top two now, and that it might be due to the crossover between the mediums becoming a bit better than the softs, or it might just be micro mistakes that Ben's making on top of the off-track excursions that we've seen.
Yeah, maybe, and there's also another bit happening here where Perry just chalked off half a second on Chris, gave it a little bit of it back as they head down the hill toward the, well, I guess they were going to call this a corkscrew.
Yep.
For the rest of the day anyway, until I get blasted for calling it that. But yeah, they've got 6 seconds on Asador, which is very different to what they had before the pit stops, and then you've got BX 2 seconds off the back of Asador. Asador might be able to make this a little bit difficult. Distance 7 seconds off there. Martin in 9th, or Kanata in 9th. So
okay.
Auto in 10th.
Good recovery from Kanata. He's up into the top 10 after his big mistake on lap 1.
Yeah. Well, Slim isn't last.
Yeah.
There is a slight positive. He is a minute and 31 off the lead, but he isn't last. That is a large amount of time that he has to try and rescue back, and it's not an amount of time he's going to be able to get back. A yellow flag, climbed it in the wall. He's going to come back on track here. We're going to go to chase cam, see if Clem's he's actually going to wait.
He's waiting. Good lad.
And he does wait as Slim does get by and slides his car into the bottom of the corkscrew there. It didn't exactly make it the easiest of overtakes, as Slim is an extra position there.
Yep, so up in the top 10, let's talk a little bit about Auto. We've not talked much about Auto, one of only 2 of the Panthera drivers tonight. Clemson we just saw in the wall in Auto, so lead driver tonight in the GR Supra. He's got damage though, so he's going to get caught by Pumpkin Patch.
Yeah, he must have made a mistake, so both of them making a mistake at roughly the same time.
That is team synergy.
Maybe in the wrong direction. It's
that is why they are last in the standings.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate time to have gone on to both the Panthera drivers there after they've both made mistakes. So Pumpkin Patch might be able to pull himself back into the top 10. He's dropped himself within a second now. We're actually going to hold on to this battle. We're going to watch this battle a little bit longer, see if Pumpkin Patch is going to be able to keep himself there. He's not until the exit of that corner anyway. Auto got himself on top of the curb for some reason. Not entirely sure that's the fastest way through that corner. And he's gone just too much to the inside. And now here comes Pumpkin Patch, who might have to sacrifice his speed, and did have to sacrifice his speed to make sure he didn't hit Auto on the way through.
Yeah, really sloppy corner from Auto, lost traction and mounted the inside part of the track.
Oh, and he's now
mounting
more than the inside. He's going to have an absolute mare of this. Pumpkin Patch is going to, well, be lamenting the fact that he got someone who can't drive in front of him.
And this is what can happen around Nordschleife. There's very few overtaking spots in these, because these corners just come thick and fast. So if the driver in front is having a scruffy time of it, you've just got to lift off and lose so much time, and it really disrupts your momentum, to be honest.
Yeah, the A+ driver is having a mare of this one. Absolute mare as they go through. They're still in 10th and 11th. They're still right beside each other. There is someone having a bit of a mare further up, and I think that's Distant, who's on
Distance
the side
got
of the
damage
track.
on all of his car, front and back, so he's hit the wall twice there, and he's going to get caught by Kanata pretty quickly now.
He's managed to keep himself in front of that Supra.
Nope, here he comes.
Going to be really close. Pumpkin's really close here as well. And Kanata's just going very calmly up the hill for some reason. He should be trying to push. He should know that Distance got damage. He hasn't got it anymore, so he hasn't been able to catch up. There is a second between them. Pumpkin Patch is now, well, was very briefly within half a second of Auto, who needs to start breaking away if he's going to have anything to do here in this race. Slim is 16 seconds off the back of these two, and these two have been fighting for the entire lap. And arguably, well, they've been fighting. It was one of the fights of all time. In this lap 4. It's off the track again, and he's almost collected Pumpkin on the way through, but that is nice reactions there from Pumpkin, just to make sure that he is not in the wall right now.
Yeah, that's the worst part of the track possible, to have a spin just before the long straight, or to might end up only slightly ahead of Slim by the end of the corner. Meanwhile, Martin, or Kanata as we all know him, all over the back of Distant. Distant probably has enough to do one extra lap on the Huracan, but his tyres definitely not looking great compared to Kanata's.
There's a pit stop
And
here
he's bailed out of it. He's gone in. So, like we said, the first guy to make his second stop at the end of lap 9 was going pretty good at the start of the stint, and then made some mistakes on that last lap there. But will get a massive undercut on people.
Yeah, and so Slim gained 10 seconds off of Otto's spin as a whole there.
Look how battered that car is.
It's been through the wall. There's Slim, who's actually peered into the background for the first time in a while.
Yep, we've still got 12 laps to go.
Also, in all of this, BX is 6th again.
Yeah, BX is caught and passed Asseldor. Asseldor probably didn't fight him too much because it wouldn't be in his best interest for his race. Perry's the next one up, so it should be another easy overtake
he's got a
for
little
Perry.
bit. He's kicking up a little bit of gravel there as well. Chris
Yeah.
might be able to extend just a little bit here. So 4.4. Then you got Chris in the foreground there. 26 seconds off the back of the front three, who, quite frankly, could go to sleep and still win. Still be on the podium in this race at this point. But yes, it's still basically they're lapping at almost. Well, they're not lapping at almost identical times, but they overall pretty much identical times. As that's stayed about 4 seconds since the pit stop here.
Yep, and for Javi being around about 4 seconds off the back of Iggy, but with more fuel and with fresher tires, this benefits him. 4 seconds is okay, because the working idea at the moment is Javi is going to be able to go longer on every stint than Iggy, and as a result make one fewer pit stop. And if that ends up being what happens, Javi is going to be substantially ahead of Iggy towards the end.
Yeah, comfortably. No doubt about it. If Iggy has to make another stop here, Javi will win this race without any mistakes. It's not a question. Yeah. There's no way that Iggy is saving that much to that amount of time. He's quick. He isn't that quick. Neither is the M6 compared to the Mazda as well. So if there is an extra pit stop, expect this to fall the way of Eric's in terms of on track, but maybe not in the championship. That was nailed in the coffin. A nail in the coffin there when Slim ran out of fuel on the end of lap 3. And
yes, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, all the hyperbole we were talking about, maybe the 1, 2, 3, maybe a chance, and that died very, very quickly. But yeah, there's still a possibility here that Javi wins this race. It might be if Ben can stop making mistakes as we immediately go to him, watch him make another mistake.
He's going to struggle towards the end of this lap with his tyres. They're already looking pretty grim. He saves it.
Just about drifting through the entire way of that corner.
His car actually came through the camera there.
That was about as close of a call as Javi's ever gonna get. Ricky's opening that gap now an entire second. The one line for sure. You can definitely say that much.
Could have been far worse though. Those are the kind of mistakes that we're expected to see every driver make. Pretty much every other lap, I would guess. Every lap for some of them.
We've also hit evening for the first time.
Yes. The sun is starting to set, and it's going to be a long one through the night, as we're only on 38 minutes, or lap 5 out of 16. Quite a long way to go. Nowhere near even halfway through yet.
Yeah, and it's just going to be one of those where the night is going to play a big factor here, especially when everything starts getting dark. You have to rely on your car's headlights, and everyone's spread out enough already to the point where they don't have an extra car to help brake. So if you make a mistake, it's on you now. And there's Chris in the background, 2.2. Well, Perry on the background of Chris, sorry. 2.2 seconds away. Chris is doing a very nice job. That's very red very quickly there on the screen.
At the risk of commentators cursing Chris, this is comfortably his best performance to date in eSports.
Oh God, here we go again. Here we go again. You did this in Spa. You did this in Spa, and he died the next corner.
Well, he hasn't been anywhere close. He's been super consistent in this race, it's got to be said. And that is why he's in P4. Perry's been in the wars, that's why he's fallen behind. BX been in the wars, that's why he's fallen behind. Asador, we've not seen any mistakes, but he was up in the top 5, and he's just falling back now. And then Kanata recovering really well to sit in P8 at the moment. So, yeah, solid for V2, P7 and P8. And 1 P4 at the moment for Chris. Not sure where Pumpkin Patch is, actually.
The issue they have is that Ross tried out at Kurtic. The problem that Pegasus have right now is that Pumpkin Patch and Distant are having nightmares in terms of on the track. Pumpkin back up into 9th, obviously taking advantage, and here comes Slim on auto, actually. So we actually do have an on-track battle, and Slim is starting to make his way back through, but needs to make it very much a lot quicker than he currently is.
Yeah, you can see Slim. He's taking each of these corners so much better than auto. He's going to go for it. No, he's backing out of it. Some of these corners you just can't go side by side through, even if you've got the pace, without causing an incident.
Yeah, we saw mess up the carousel here on the last lap. Is he going to be able to survive this lap? It doesn't look like if he's going to go with that sort of line. That just looked like he was bouncing in and out. And here comes Slim, who might be able to go underneath, and he doesn't. He backs out of it.
He had to back out of it. Auto's car was just in the way. He would have span him out if he floored it like he normally would out of that corner. So Auto survives despite the dodgy corner.
Yeah. So in terms of the battle for third right now, we're not looking at the battle for first. That's essentially over with Slim's mistake here. So you've got Erotica's beating Distant. That's a straight up fight at the moment, those two. And then you've got Asador beating Pumpkin Patch, which I believe is, what, 8th and 9th at the moment? And then Chris beating... Oh, there goes Slim!
Oh, there we go. There's the mistake from Auto. Very easy overtake in the end from Slim, and a crucial one, because he's now got 11 seconds to try and catch Pumpkin Patch, who only overtook Auto 1 lap ago. So that is the difference in pace and what Slim needs to start doing to catch Pumpkin Patch, who was himself 16 seconds ahead of Slim not too long ago. So Slim really on a charge. Yeah, he actually saved it somehow.
Yeah, he has saved it. Okay, so Ben is now off into the pits, and Distant is out of this race.
Right, that's potentially how Pegasus loses P3 in the standings.
Okay, so that's a DNF. I don't know if there's any points attached to that.
If he rage quit, then absolutely not.
Well, we'll take a look. So Slim is ahead of Auto, 12 seconds, and 15 seconds to Kanata. Kanata is the other V2 driver. And so it's Asador and Kanata 7th and 8th, and then Erotica's in 12th. Versus, well, a top 3 now. It's really starting to set now, and we were getting a nice little nighttime twilight race into the first 40 minutes of this one.
Yeah. Ben going for another short, soft stint, so that's going to be another 3 laps on the softs with the fuel that he's put in. So he's going to have a huge pace advantage on the 3 above. Chris just ahead of BX, who's overtaken Perry on track. All of them on slower tyres than what Ben's on as well, and a lot more worn. Yeah,
you're right. I'm intrigued because Ben's still got his medium lap time, obviously. Medium stint to go. You have to do that. I'm assuming that's going to be last now, given the position we're currently in. This race is probably going to go about 2 hours, actually, total, in the end. Surprisingly, not as long as we first thought it was going to be, but then again, we've also had no rain.
BX really caught up to the back of Chris now, so that might be the next overtake we see.
Yeah. So... there's a lot going on here. We've got 4 really close to each other. BX is going to obviously try and go after Chris, and Ben is going to try and go after Perry. And Ben has to go after Perry and BX here, because he has to beat them both. He doesn't have a choice. He has to beat them both.
He's essentially a pit stop ahead of them at the moment, but we don't know if Ben's going to end up having an extra pit stop on them at the end of the race. So this could be for position, essentially.
I don't know about Perry. I think Perry may have the extra pit stop to do, but BX shouldn't. BX should have enough fuel to go as long as he, quite frankly, wants to.
Yeah.
Given that we know that Ferrari is one of the new OP cars now. So...
Yeah, he seems to not really... Excuse me. He seems to not really be fuel saving at all, BX, looking at his throttle inputs. So, this is... yeah, he's got so much more fuel than Perry just on pure driving flat out, essentially, which he's had to do since he made that mistake as well. He's not really been able to fuel save because he had to overtake these cars.
Yeah. There's still a long time and a potential for more mistakes to come our way. We definitely are starting to head into the night. All the headlights coming on the front of the cars now as well. So we are just starting to make our way. This is how we know we're in the middle of this race now, that 24-hour cycle is more than definitely underway. We've got a couple of battles
Ben's
coming
having a go
here.
on Perry now.
It's going to be in front of Perry. He got him.
Wow.
That was
really easy overtake there by Ben. Usually you get side by side through that corner and it makes things tricky. Now Ben's going to try and overtake BX Royal straight away.
Exactly. How long did he wait for this? Did he go for this straight away? Because Chris is obviously holding up BX. BX isn't able to go by that Pegasus, that Porsche in third place right now. So is Ben going to make an executive decision to try and pass BX? Because obviously it's Alex versus Project Platypus. Those two drivers, it's the main battle we're watching.
Yeah.
And
things just got a lot more difficult for BX. He's basically got to overtake Chris, or else Ben will have an opportunity here because Chris is backing BX up far too much at the moment.
Oh yeah, absolutely, no question about it. You got almost halfway. I say almost halfway as if it's not 16 minutes down the line. But here could BX a little bit wider than the Chris in front of him. Ben is there as well. You can see that they're trying to force the issue a little bit here. But the question is, which way is it going to be forced? Ben having a little bit of a go there. Maybe, I don't know if there was contact.
It looked like a little bump draft, and that's why BX has got a bit closer to Chris. Now BX. Ben's getting a much better entry into that corner and is so close to BX, but still can't find a way around just yet.
Ben's got to try and find a way to chop underneath BX here, because that
he needs
might
to cut
be
back.
The only way he gets by. There's no... Well, he can try and rely on a BX mistake.
Here we go, he's got a run.
Idea. Is he going to get it? Let's have a look. Chris is still going to hold on to this for now. Ben is going to try. He's going to try at the very loose term.
Just can't get alongside at the moment.
Now, BX having the slipstream of Chris in front is having a bit of an effect as BX kicked up some grass and almost came across and cut off Ben a little bit there.
Yeah, BX might actually have a little run on Chris now up the hill. He seems a bit closer to Chris now. It's another spot that's not really an overtaking spot though, unless you're very brave. BX having a little look and then backs out of it again.
Chris is just hanging on for dear life right now in third. He knows his battle is against Perry. So the more he fights these two, the better it is for him, because Perry can't get by.
Yeah, BX lost 3.5 seconds compared to his previous lap because he's stuck behind Chris. So
he got down the inside!
Oh,
he got him!
Dear.
I don't know if there's any contact, but he has got him, and Chris is now going to get tapped a little bit by Ben, as Ben may look to the outside. I'm actually going to go a little look to the inside, because Chris has gone deep as a result of all the argy-bargy at the very least going through into the carousel, and Chris might feel a little bit aggrieved. We'll wait and see.
That's one to reserve judgment for the stewards, but on first watch it did look a little bit like a bump out of the way, but Chris maybe made the mistake and opened the door, so we'll have to wait and see. Now Perry is closing in pretty quickly on Chris, so it's not over yet for Chris. He's still under pressure from a car behind.
Yeah, and it's a case of you make one mistake and you tend to compound them. It's not going to be him that compounds it, it's going to be Perry that compounds it, and this time it's going to give Chris all the daylight he needs.
Yeah, Perry's got damage as well, so there's the breathing space Chris needs to complete this lap and head into the pits, I'd imagine, as well.
Where's the yellow
flag? Further back, I'm assuming.
It must be for Perry. It has to be.
Yeah.
I don't understand why there'd be a green flag there.
So, now Ben is back attached to the rear end of BX Royal, like, once again has the pace advantage on those fresh tyres, and really harrying BX, trying to push him around the track, or maybe force him into a mistake through the pressure that he's applying.
Yeah, he's going to have to do something here. If he doesn't get him now, he'll get him at the back straight, provided they're close enough, obviously. There's a lot of the problem that Ben's got now is that those headlights are not going to work, because he wants them to right on the back of BX like that. They head up the hill now, right up into the sector I was talking about, where they're about to come to a very, very, very long straight. I'm pretty sure it might be the second longest straight in the game outside of Route X, and no one really counts Route X as a track. So Iggy into the pits. So Iggy's come in for stop number 2.
Yep, Javi nowhere near needing to stop yet. BX shouldn't need to stop. Ben's definitely not going to need to stop. But Iggy, I would imagine, gets out ahead of BX and Ben because of the issues that we've seen. Although Ben wasn't too far behind Iggy when he pit.
It was 7 seconds.
Here we go. Here is the overtake that we were expected to see on the back straight.
Surely. Yeah, then you see the number tick over with a blinding headlight, and the Porsche is able to just blow by the Ferrari. And as we expected, Ben has been able to work his way back into the top 3. He is in fact ahead of BX. If they both needed to do the extra stop, that was a little bit too close to comfort.
Really late on the brakes there for BX. Had to slam them on corner entry, as Iggy came out on a full tank this time on medium tyres again. And Chris comes into the pits just behind as well. So Iggy with a 17 seconds, sorry. Oh, it's going down. Around about a 16 seconds lead on Ben. So staying out definitely helped Iggy compared to Ben, who was in a bit of traffic on that lap, but has managed to clear it now.
I was about to say, it cost him 9 seconds. That was 7 in a bit, maybe a little bit more. When they pit originally, Javi has a 33-second gap at the lead of this race. He'd only pit once. He might not be pitting this lap either. I think he might be going one more after this. We'll wait and see. They've only just started this one, realistically.
I would say that's 2 laps worth. So Iggy will be halfway through his stint when Javi comes in, probably to fuel up to the end. Could it be the end? I think so, actually.
No.
7.
No.
If he pits at the end of lap 8,
5 laps is the max you're getting out.
He's probably going to do a 5 lap on mediums and then a 3 lap on softs to end Javi. That's what I would guess.
That's what I reckon he'd be doing. Yeah. Oh, that did not look good. That's a bit of a slide again. And that's the issue we've been seeing with Ben so far in this race. So he just slides everything and anything and everything.
It's working though. He's purple.
He is 3 seconds ahead of BX as well, for that matter.
That's how much it's been holding Ben up. Unfortunately, this strategy should have worked out really well for him, and he should be a lot closer to Iggy. But traffic is a factor that you have to think about when you're deciding to pit early and try and undercut.
But we're saying this like Ben wasn't on the back of Iggy and then span his way into traffic, essentially. Cost himself about 7 seconds earlier on in the race, if we remember right. Was about... Oh, again, he's just playing with fire a little bit here, Ben. I don't know.
It's on the edge. He is going quicker than Iggy at the moment, though. That gap to Iggy is coming down pretty quickly.
Yeah, you're right. Extra second on this lap for certain. It's 5 seconds now, but it splits him and BX.
And he's gained an extra 2 on BX. So BX really struggling on this last lap. The tyre drop-off when you have to do that final lap on low tyres seems to be absolutely massive.
Yeah. I don't know whether or not... Yeah, BX is coming in at the end of this
He's 4 seconds back on this lap, so BX has had some sort of issue. He's not 4 seconds back on just pace.
No, definitely not. Never usually, anyway. He must have had something. Astrodor's 14 seconds there. Chris, 26 off the back of that, and is fighting Perry once again. Perry putting in less than what Chris did.
And it didn't he didn't manage to get him in the pits despite putting in less fuel, because he dropped back due to that damage. Otherwise, Perry would be ahead of Chris and looking at catching up to Astrodor again.
Also had a look at it there.
That wasn't advisable, that one.
He definitely had a look at it. Don't know whether or not that was just the camera angle giving us a different look to what may be going on in the driver's head. But yeah, Chris, don't forget, Chris putting in this amount of fuel means he will have to pit for less later on in this race. So it will come back to him eventually. As long as he can hold Perry for now, he should be clear sooner rather than later. Pumpkin is in 8th right now. Shouldn't be too long before he has to pit though. And then you've got Slim in 9th with a half-second penalty. He's 6.5, just over. Ahead of Chris and Perry going at each other. Perry's off the track!
Oh, Perry's off again. Another mistake by Perry tonight.
The one time I go off of that battle and these two decide that they don't want to stay on the track for much longer.
Yeah, so now Chris got with a 4-second lead over Perry. 28 seconds behind Asador, which means by the time the pits come around, Asador should drop behind Chris and potentially behind Perry, but it's going to be close now.
Yeah, that was a lot there. That's just a really unfortunate one. If anything, that might bring Perry closer to
Pumpkin Patch.
Albeit
yeah.
They have made one stop more at this point in time. Slim, can I actually go down to further down the grid without somebody dying this time? Let's have a look. It looked like Kanata is having a real good go against the Rotocods. It actually looked like he might be pulling because the Rotocods is on his second stint right now. Kanata is currently on his third. Yeah,
Auto. He's got a full pit stop on Rotocods. Auto, another one with a half-second penalty. 46 seconds off the back. And Clemson. So this is the last two positions on track for the Panthera boys. This is not going good for them.
Everyone had at least one stop. Oh, as soon as I say that, Rotocods onto the grass, and he's managed to save it. It looked like his car was going a bit too sideways for 1 second there, and he might be going again. He's just about getting away with this, but he does have a 7-second gap on Auto at this point in time, which means that he has a pit stop. He isn't going to be in much of a trouble. He's going to end 11th at the very least.
It's a tier 2 driver, Eroticos. At least this season he was.
Oh, Slim in the wall!
Oh, Slim as well, but that's actually going to lose him very little time going off track there. The briefest of excursions.
It's still an excursion he can't afford to make when he is actually trying to challenge Pumpkin here.
I think the damage is done for Slim's race. If he gets top 8, it'll be solid at this point.
Yeah. Also, Perry is significantly quicker than Chris, but Perry is doing a massive job to hold on. Then you've got Asador, 28 seconds, and BX further ahead. 10 seconds now split BX and Ben on this particular lap, may we add.
Wow. BX struggling massively for some reason on this lap. Is it the tyres? Does it just, or is he fuel saving? Let's have a quick look. It doesn't look like he's fuel saving at all. Nope. So fuel isn't the issue here. It's just pace.
Yeah, it's just looking like BX is maybe
his last lap an 8:17, by the way. That's really slow for BX Royal.
I would say compared to a thing that it's we can't really compare a lot of laps here because every other lap is a pit stop.
Yeah, this is true.
And not everyone doing the same pit stop as well. So we don't actually have lap data that we could go against everyone else. Pegasus is asking where would they be if it ended as it is right now? I'm going to take a guess and say not very, not ahead of V2, given the fact that you've got one driver getting beat by Asador.
I'll tell you.
Maybe and one driver that's disconnected.
So, what have we got? We've got Chris in 6th.
He's being caught rapidly by Perry again, by the way. Every single time
Patch in 8th.
Every single time Chris thinks he got rid of the problem keeps coming back.
Asador's in 5th for V2. And then where are the other two boys?
They
one
are
of Pegasus'
10th and
boys DNF'd, so they don't get anything. 10th and 11th. So that would give V2 quite a substantial victory over Pegasus. That is 32 points as it stands in favour of V2.
Yeah. And, well, we know Chris is about to take at least 4 off, an 8-point swing out of Asador here. Yeah. When Asador pits, Asador will also drop behind Perry, so he can tack another 4 onto that. So it won't be as convincing.
That DNF has basically ruined Pegasus' chances.
Yeah, definitely.
Because even if that guy finished, that would have at least been some contribution towards the points.
Yep.
Especially with 2 guys here, the 2 Pantheras, so far back. So if he could have slotted himself in, 12th place there, that is 8 points. So think about that, 8 points at the end. Is that what the gap is?
And
If
we're aware that Chris is
Well.
about to chalk 12 out of V2 in a minute when Asador has to pit. So it would
Yes.
be a lot closer than it currently is.
Although Perry might start challenging Chris towards the end of this lap. BX in the pits as well, yeah. Remember, he was pretty close to Perry when Perry made his pit stop.
Let's have a look. So BX was ahead of both of these drivers. Asador in as well now. Pumpkin Patch is in the background. Bear in mind that he has to now hold on for dear life against Slim whenever that happens. As well as try and catch up to the two boys in front here. So this puts them on the same pit stops, amount of pit stops as MK and Iggy.
Yeah.
Iggy. So this is more of a look at where we actually are. Substantial look. Here comes BX, is just about to fill out. Is he going to be behind or ahead of Chris? He is starting to head out the pits now. He is ahead.
Only just ahead by a couple of seconds. Perry going for
here
Chris
comes
as well on the
Perry.
inside to turn 1.
Got him.
Yes, he has. That was a great overtake by Perry. So he got a good exit at the end of the lap, coming back onto the GP track and got the move done on Chris. And he has the pace on Chris, so can start creating a bit of a gap now. So bad news for Chris, who we were saying was on for a good finish, but just as he gets past Asador by 8 seconds, he's lost that position to Perry, which is crucial as well. Every point counts at the moment for Pegasus.
Yeah, every point counts for a number of these teams. If you're Project Platypus and just wanting to show something up, Chris goes very deep there at the bottom of the hill in the GP section. And that's not a good sign in any way, shape or form. He's got to try and hang on against that. Well, he's comfortably ahead of Asador, but he's got to hang on to the back of Perry as much as he possibly can.
Yep. Chris potentially getting caught out by the cooler track. Obviously, when you got a cooler track, it's not as responsive to when you brake, so you have to brake slightly earlier into these corners. With the fact that it is pitch black right now for these guys, it can be difficult to spot braking markers. And that's why we expect to see more mistakes in the dark than in the sunlight, essentially.
Yeah, it's 2 seconds that break that gap now. So, yeah, BX is clear of these 2 in 5th and 6th. That's certain. So you can take those points off the board for now. BX has already made 1 mistake, however, in this race as we head towards halfway at the end of this lap. Well, Ben's got an entire pit stop on BX right now.
Yeah, comfortable at the moment, but this will be a slow lap for Ben because of the tyre degradation on those softs.
The chance of the rain does not seem very high, and I think in future I'm going to try and avoid doing the 24-hour cycle just so rain actually forms. I think I've clicked onto the mistake I made here. But
really dodgy entry into the corner from Ben, but manages to avoid going off track.
No, he doesn't.
Lose a bit of time to Iggy.
No, he doesn't.
Oh dear.
No, he does not. He really did not. That is a substantial knot on the track on the exit of that corner there. That's could not have been a worse time for that. He's 22 seconds off the back of Iggy. You can tack a couple more on for that, certain. And then
Iggy's 31 behind Javi, so Javi having a really good part of the race. He's lapping very solidly, 808, 808, 809 on those last 3 laps. Very, very solid pace from Javi. This is going to be his in lap. He's a couple of seconds down at the moment because his tyres are starting to degrade. But this has been a potentially race-winning stint for Javi when he eventually comes in. So, yeah, this could be Arix on course for their first victory in eSports.
Save the best till last, realistically, for Javi, who comes second in basically every other race, and actually every race he's done so far for Arix, which is an incredible stat.
Always the bridesmaid.
He might be
potentially the bride tonight. No, you'd still be the bridesmaid because it's not even the biggest thing to happen when there's a championship on the line, so it's just going to get overshadowed anyway.
Win the race, come second in the championship, Javi style, honestly. Normal Javi style.
Yeah,
obviously
he's got number 1 on his number plate, but potentially needs to change that to number 2.
We also have potentially more competition coming in next season as well, with Alex confirmed for next season.
Should we have a little chat about next season?
Yes, that's a sure.
Okay, so we are planning. The working idea at the moment is to expand from 5 teams to 10, which means we're going to have one big championship, but it'll be running in 2 lobbies to accommodate the 15 drivers in each lobby. We are in the process of recruiting teams, and we're getting there. We've got 4 teams that are pretty far along to being confirmed, and that just means that we need an extra team. So if you are part of an esports team and you're watching, or you know of one that would potentially want to start racing in our esports team, let us know and we'll sort it out. If not, we're thinking maybe of letting ALR set up a team to enter if people were interested in giving it a go but aren't part of the team. So yeah, watch this space. If we can get 5, then that's what we'll be doing. If we can't get 5, then we'll have to stick to a 5-team league for now, but it's looking good at the moment.
Yeah, hopefully we can get expanded to 10, because the way the championship will format next season is going to look a lot different to the championship you all know,
Yes.
know and love in what we're doing currently. And the quality of the teams will be a bit higher as well. Halex joining Arix and Project Platypus, obviously, so it'll be the last time you'll see Iggy in Project Platypus colours. He'll be driving in Halex colours next season. So we've got a lot that is starting to unravel, especially for next season. I absolutely can't wait. The calendar's set as well. It's all going to be massive. I'm absolutely loving it. We're back to the race now, though. 26 seconds between Iggy and MK, 32 between Javi and Iggy, and not really a lot happening in terms of the gaps apart from Perry clearing house with Chris at this point.
Yeah, Perry doing very well now that he's got past Chris. Looks like he's eyeing the mistakes out of a couple of laps ago as well. Asseldor closing in the gap a little bit to Chris, but he is on fresher tyres as well. So a real interesting game of strategy for P5, 6, 7 at the moment.
Yeah, and it's a strategy that if Pegasus want to get to P2, P3, sorry, in the championship, they absolutely have to win that strategy battle in the midfield here. They also have to get Pumpkin into a relatively good position as well, because quite frankly, without both of them, the third man quit on them. So whether it was a disconnect or a race quit, we don't actually know. And
yeah,
it could be a lot of it could be interesting to add at the end, but we'll wait and see. We'll figure it out as we go along. But for now, we can't add his points because we don't know how it happened. Chris is starting to gain back on Perry.
Yeah, I'm just laughing at the chat because I said that Fracas is saying, "Oh, Vikings applying to have an ALR team live on the stream." That would be interesting, actually. But poor Project Platypus if they lose Vikings to start a new team.
They lose Iggy to Halex, they lose Viking to the new ALR team. They're just left with the X.
I mean, it's still a top
I'd
team.
say it's not a bad starting driver. Not a bad number 1. It just means it won't be a complete and utter domination as it has been this season up to this point.
Project Platypus have absolutely annihilated the season. They've also got an enormous team. A few of the drivers haven't even raced this season, and some of them only raced one time this season. So, yeah, next season probably going to give an opportunity for more drivers to get involved, especially with the format that we're doing. You won't necessarily have to be the top driver to score some top points for the team. But I won't say any more than that because I'm quite excited about it and I want it to actually happen. So I'm not jinxing myself and then we have to go back to this format next season.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with this format.
There's nothing wrong with this format. It's a good format.
I'd say this has provided some very nice racing for us this season.
I just want more.
Of course, we always want to expand. We want the league to get bigger as much as humanly possible. Also, Ben Pitt again. He is still 17 seconds off on VX, so that's...
Hold on. Go to Iggy.
He got a second
penalty. He's got a second penalty, but where is Arix right ahead of him? Has Arix come into the pits already?
Yeah.
So Arix is
on
pit,
the double
pit.
red.
Yeah.
Double red on the side of the screen, he's just pit.
He's got a 2.7 second gap, fresh softs, he's going to do 3 laps on these. Iggy is going to have to come in on this lap potentially after serving a 1 second penalty. This is beautiful stuff from Javi. Like we said, he had a great second stint, and he's going on the softs now and really attacking.
Iggy's going to have to get to 12 realistically if he wants to do guaranteed to the end. He isn't going to be able to do that. He's only on half fuel now. And he put a full tank in to start with. So
yeah,
I
he's
think
actually going to get 2 laps before Iggy has to pit. So Iggy's going to pit in 2 laps, Javi's going to pit in 3 laps, and that's going to be for their last stop. Iggy will have a chance of getting an undercut done, but
Iggy
potentially not.
Iggy will have to do 2 more stops minimum. His fuel can't
2
last.
more. Oh, you're right. Yeah,
His fuel
you're right.
can't last. So it's likely, the likelihood of what's going to happen here is that Iggy is going to... Oh, it's regretting racing, as per. Iggy is going to pit probably at the end of 10, as you said. He probably only has 2 more in the tank anyway. And then do 3 and 3.
3 and 3 on softs. Yeah, he'll have to. He's going to go aggressive at the end. This is not great for Iggy at all, I've got to say. This is the weakness of the BMW. If you think about racing for it next season, there is an overlap with this and how a BMW will perform in feature races. A good example of that is Eric's Ben when he was in Tier 2. Won the vast majority of sprint races in the BMW because it is super quick. Hardly, I think he got 1 race win in the feature because you lose loads of time in the pits. Your strategies are a little bit more compromised because you have a smaller pit window compared to other drivers in other cars with bigger fuel tanks. So it is a good car, but it's got huge drawbacks for our format.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And Iggy's finding that out right now.
Well, it might be the very first time through 8 races, and we all it took was to double the distance. Hey, Mikey, you say you haven't won a feature this season. Look how it worked out. Jez has won up to you. He's won a title without winning a race. You're not the only one that's done that this season. Unbelievable feat, by the way. That's ridiculous. Yep. I've come close to that myself a couple of times, but Jesus Christ, actually do it? Unbelievable. Doesn't matter what level you are. It's one hell of a consistent season for Jezza if we're just focusing on Group 3 for the moment.
Jezza did a fantastic job. The first and only driver I'm going to put out there, probably, to ever win a title without winning a race. That's fantastic. He might win the Race of Champions tomorrow, but we'll have to see. That would be a good way to rub it in. Yeah, I won the title without winning a race, but then I'll win the Race of Champions.
Yeah. Admittedly, Spin spanned so many times that he handed in the title, but that's also...
Yeah, Spin had the pace, his teammate as well.
Yeah, something we're not going to encounter, we're actually going to talk about, you know. Mute point at the end of the day. So, in this race, Javi 5.5 seconds up now is actually increasing the gap to Iggy, so he's got the pit stop advantage. Iggy's going to have to pit 1 more time, so that gap isn't realistically 5, it's 55. Which is absolutely insane. There's not a lot that Iggy can do in this position. Quite frankly, the Mazda is just drive. All Javi's got to do now is drive this one sensibly home.
Easier said than done. He's got we're just over halfway into the race at the moment, and he's got a decent gap, but anything can happen at the end of the race. Iggy and Javi both so far haven't really put a foot wrong in the race. Everyone else we've seen in the wars, pretty much. Well, potentially Chris and Asador have had pretty solid races. We haven't seen too many incidents from them.
Yeah, actually having a look. Chris is nearly 5 seconds off the back of Perry now. He's just falling off. And Chris has actually got some more daylight on Asador as we talk about those guys. He's 9 seconds up the road now. Kanata... I don't actually know what... Well, Kanata's pit twice. I don't know whether... I'm guessing in that Supra, for the fuel on the Supra, he's probably going to be in the same boat as probably Iggy and Ben more over than what Javi and BX are doing.
Yeah.
So we'll wait and see where that pushes him out. Slim is catching Pumpkin Patch. Maybe not as quick as we expected it, but he is catching. Eroticard's 18 seconds off the back of Slim, and then you've got 2 very, very tailed off drivers.
Yeah. I did expect Slim to start catching up a bit quicker than he has. He's only in 10th place. He is only 3 seconds behind.
It's raining!
It's raining!
It's raining! It's raining!
There is rain
Middle
on
of
the
the
track.
lap.
Oh my goodness.
It's heavy
and
rain.
It's filling up very quickly. We're in the pitch black. Let's ride on board with Javi. He's got maybe 20 seconds to decide if he needs to put on a certain type of tire. This rain could come and go incredibly quickly. We just have absolutely no idea. It looks like it's actually not raining on this section of the track.
No, it's raining. It's still raining very lightly in front of the car.
Yes, the fuel gauge is slowly rising still, but not as quickly as at the beginning. He's gapping Iggy by 2 seconds, sorry, there as well, just on the straight alone.
Okay, so this just got very, very interesting.
Yeah.
The only problem is that if you were third or backwards, you probably
You've got so
wanted
long
that
to
be
go.
further forward. You wanted these two to be further forward.
Right.
Oh, Javi's off the track!
Javi's off. He can't keep on. This is definitely Inter's weather right now. So Javi
There is a yellow
and
flag.
Iggy,
Javi's gone round again!
Spinning out of the lead.
And he's hit Iggy
he's
on
made
the way
contact with
through.
Iggy.
That's an
Iggy
unsafe
gets
rejoin
through,
as Iggy spun
and
round!
Iggy spins all on his own there. Now Javi's going to go in the pits. What's Iggy doing? Iggy is going to be fuming. I'm expecting to see that in the stewards room later. It is now bordering on full wet territory. Let's join Ben to see how he's tackling the end of the lap on these softs. He's got a 35-second lead on BX at the moment. He's just entered the main straight.
This has just turned into absolute carnage. It's definitely intermediate,
Yeah.
my mate. It's getting heavier, may I add. It's getting significantly heavier.
We are very close to wet tyres here.
It's getting. We've just had a lot of rain. You know what I said about I'm not going to make it nighttime cycle. Not going to make it 24-hour cycle next time. The high down.
Yeah, take
that back.
You're talking bullshit there. Javi's gone for the intermediates, and Iggy,
I can't imagine.
I'm assuming, will be inters as well.
We're in full wet. On the bar,
we are in full wet condition. Iggy's gone for the full wets. Oh my god.
And here we go. Here's the fight for the lead, essentially. Everyone behind is having a mare.
Still inters, really.
Everyone behind is having a mare.
Everyone is, yeah.
Ben gained another 15 seconds on BX, by the way. Ben coming round the final corner.
Whoa.
He's kept the car. He's kept it going.
Surely he's coming in. Surely he is. Right, let's see what BX is up to.
I don't know, but he's getting caught by Perry as they both come down the straight
Perry's
now.
doing pretty well in the wet.
Perry's able to go an extra 20 mile an hour on BX right now.
That's crazy. So BX has had some sort of issue there.
We're still in wet territory, by the way, and it is still banging it down.
So BX makes the corner. Perry doesn't. No, he's in the wall. Perry's in the wall now. Chris is approaching. Perry's got to get out of the way of Chris right immediately, essentially.
Chris is
and it looks like he's managed. Ben MK on the wets, so maybe Javi not having the best of times on the inters right now, but it looks like we're starting to dip slowly back into inters territory. We're at that crossover point where they're both pretty similar, I'd say.
There's Perry in front of us.
Perry's had such a nightmare that he's been completely caught by Chris.
Okay, so this is interesting. This is what I want to see now. So it is very close on either side on whether or not you want to go intermediates or wets. He's off the track!
It's too wet for those inters. He's still on the GP section of the track, by the way. So really slow around the infield section.
Iggy's
got a 1.5 second
penalty.
Oh, that's a nightmare. He just served a 1 second penalty as well.
But Iggy has caught up, so it's a question of whether or not this rain is going to be hard enough for this to go back to wets. Because if it doesn't, then Javi should, in theory, start driving away.
Yeah. So a little bit further down.
Wets for Ben. Intermediates for BX as they go through a very heavy part of the track by the looks of things.
Whoa, BX struggling.
Off the track. Also, Chris has got Perry.
This is going to be carnage. Chris has got past Perry.
And as I said before,
in the pits by fueling less, I'm assuming.
He had to, because Chris had the amount where Perry did not.
Oh, yeah, Chris had more fuel. So that is how Chris has won out there. This is potentially... well, they're going to have to probably stop again because of fuel, actually, everybody. So it's not over yet.
We say
it depends how wet the track stays, because if the track dries up by the end of this lap and it's time to go back onto dry tyres, then they're going to have to make an extra pit stop.
The max time is 180 seconds. I literally can't make it any quicker than that. any longer than that. I physically cannot do that.
That's the game. So the track is starting to dry a little bit, so we're only halfway up the fuel gauge now, and we were 2/3 up not too long ago.
And
So
Javi is
this
still
is
being caught as he goes off the track! Just about!
not good for Javi. He's, yeah, Iggy's super close to him now, so this section of the track is actually a bit wetter than the GP section up the hills. So it depends on what kind of rain is falling on what part of the track, but at the moment Javi's still struggling with how wet it is, and Iggy has completely caught up the 8-second gap that existed at the start of this stint because he's on wetter tyres.
This is huge. This race just changed on its head. But everyone's going slower and using less fuel. So if you're saying that if people can do 5 laps normally, 6 now isn't out the question, provided it stays wet.
Just have a quick look at the last place guys. They still haven't even made the back straight.
As we go
I'm
down.
talking about Panthera at the back here.
But I want to point out that Kanata has actually jumped Assador through all this, and Perry has got Chris back.
Yep, things aren't going good for Assador at the moment.
Pumpkin is now catching rapidly. Slim is still there as well. They're both on intermediate tyres, and Rotikos is now into 11th because things.
These guys still on their dry tyres. It's just, I've seen Otto's little arrow in the minimap spinning a few times.
Clemson's caught all the way back up, by the way, and they are now 6.5 minutes, sorry, not 6.5 seconds, 6.5 minutes off the top of the lead.
They might be getting lapped here.
If there wasn't a way to bury it before, there is now. Otto is being caught up quite rapidly as he's just sliding his car and is about to serve a penalty, and he's going to have to realise that it's an absolute... It's still quite heavily raining, may I add. Rotikos there going into the bottom of the GP.
I think
they've started going now.
Let's rejoin the battle between Javi and Iggy because they're very, very close together. Iggy's still not managed to get past him though. The track's looking mighty wet in this section.
It's still not wet on the hydrometer on the bottom corner of your screen. That's less than 2.
Iggy does have a good run on Javi up the hill though.
It's gonna be close. It's going to be very close. Iggy's got a 1.5 second time penalty, which will make Javi disappear all over again.
Yeah.
The real question is, can Javi hang on? All of a sudden, a race that was 50-odd seconds to the good for Javi is now 3/10.
Yeah, this is a lot of pressure that Iggy's putting on Javi now. But... is Iggy going to have to come in at the end of this lap and put on some inters or some dries?
I think
that's the problem that he's got.
I think he might just brave that out, wait until dries go on again, and then make the pit stop then. I think that might be the smartest play.
The sun's starting to come up as well. We can't really see it because of the clouds, but the sky is looking a bit brighter.
Yeah, the fact we got rain at night is incredible.
I love it.
At this point, you might as well accuse me of scripting the weather with how perfect that has got. We've got a battle all over again for the lead of this race, and quite frankly, a lap ago we weren't even saying that because it was a 55-second gap after all the pit stops would have been enforced. Javi's probably hoping that this stays wet enough to stay on the intermediates for one more whole lap, because he can do 5.
Exactly, and we know the wets seem to be the better tyre, not just because Iggy's all over the back of him, but BX's MK has closed in about 10 seconds on Javi.
Yeah, maybe something pad related as well. I'm not entirely sure.
Potentially.
We're not entirely sure. This is the second time we've seen rain since the update. Tier 1 obviously had it in our top list, but for the rest of us, this is a new experience. None of us have actually seen the rain yet, and we're getting a first little bite right now. Iggy is still trying. Javi is just putting his car in every place that Iggy cannot make a move on. And it's really good defending and in this lap so far for Javi.
Really wide there for Iggy and managed to save it though. He's pushing a lot harder than Javi at the moment, I think it's fair to say.
I think he knows that regardless of the scenario, as he touches Javi on the way through. He's just about got away with that. As they head now up the hill, and Javi is going to hold the position because Iggy just got a bit too overzealous too quickly. And now they're going to go through the mini carousel up towards the final sector of this lap. The BMW is obviously quicker in a straight line, and probably better in the wet than the Mazda as well. But at the same time, Iggy isn't going to be able to fight it because he's got a 1.5 second time penalty that's about to be enforced.
It'll be interesting to see how much this is going to penalise him. It's going to be a lot more than 1.5 seconds, that's for sure.
So we know it was 8 tenths prior to the penalty marker. He has now been slowed down by that penalty marker. Is he going to be able to get up and running again? He is. It's 2.4, 2.6, 2.8. It's a whole 2 whole seconds. It's 2.5 seconds.
And counting.
Yeah, it's cost him the upside of 3 seconds here, Iggy, to Javi, and all of a sudden, that is huge.
That is absolutely massive, and he got it just after leaving the pits as well. So, he knew that was coming, and he just couldn't take advantage of it. But even if he'd overtaken Javi, he'd probably have been overtaken again, because that's 4.1 seconds
also,
now.
I just want to point something out. There's Otto.
Oh, he's on the inters at least.
That's Javi.
Yeah, I think someone's going to get lapped in this race, but let's wait and see. Got 5 laps to go.
Iggy, it's very clear that wets are significantly better still. Whether or not it be the tyre or the wets, but MK being Eric's MK being an extra 15 seconds quicker than anyone else is probably indicative of that.
I think on this lap, the tyres are going to go under a third full on the gauge though, and Iggy's going to start really struggling compared to Javi. Now, is Ben going to come in? I don't think he can afford to, because like I said, they need to be able to pit and do a full tank of fuel before they come back in. So Iggy's potentially got to stay out another 2 laps before coming in for his pit stop, because we know that car can only do 4 laps of fuel. So an extra 2 laps on a potentially quickly driving track on wet tyres might be a disaster for Higgy in waiting, but we'll have to see what he decides to do at the end of this lap as well.
Yeah, Perry caught all the way back up to BX, by the way, in this one. BX is not having a nice time at this point in time. They head down the straight.
Are these guys going to come in? That's a good question as well.
I don't know. I think it might be just wise to try and just play it.
It's not worth it fuel-wise, though. That's the problem.
Oh.
Because you're going to have to make another pit stop.
Yeah, you're right. 6 laps at this point is not really an advantageous position to be in unless you know your car can't do 5 laps on fuel, for example.
Yeah.
If your car can't do 5 laps on fuel, it might be a good time to take that potential gamble. It doesn't look like anyone's done that just yet. Here comes Asador, Kanata, and Pumpkin Patch. Yep. And this is great news for Pumpkin Patch, who can see the 2 V2 drivers directly in front of him now.
Yep, this could be a big swing in the championship in Pegasus's favour if he can get past them, but it's not going to be an easy job. Everyone on the same tyres in that little battle.
Asador might be trying it. Asador is going to try it. Kanata's going to try it.
Oh, wow.
Pumpkin is not, and Slim is.
Slim's risking it for the rest of the race.
This could be potentially very interesting, because if they're right, they might save a lot of time, especially on this group in front. Iggy is actually
it could be a huge undercut.
Again, by the way.
There is a huge dry line that's appeared, but the problem is you've got to stick on that dry line throughout the entirety of the track, which isn't an easy thing to do. If you go back onto the wets on dry tyres, you're probably into the wall, and then your tyres get cold, and it just makes things a lot more difficult. So these guys who've come in have to be pretty much perfect around every one of these corners, and if they do, they'll get a huge undercut on this lap.
Yeah, there is apparently a lot more grip on the dry line, when it's on a drying line, shall I say, as we go through on this update. So it could be potentially massive. We'll be able to tell dries versus inters pretty much split, because Pumpkin Patch stayed out. The other 3 that were directly beside him all went in.
Yeah.
So it's a case of, can they make it stick? Javi is starting to open that gap now, and Iggy has got to keep the pressure going as much as he physically can to not allow for Javi to drive away, because Javi can make it to the end of the race now. Iggy can't.
Should we join Kanata and see how he's tackling his dry tyres? He's got a 3-second penalty, so that's not a great start. Asador is just ahead of Slim, so Slim's done pretty well through that pit sequence. Asador probably cut the pit exit line because it's easy to spin your car over that line because it's fully wet on that part of the track.
Yeah. At the end of the day, we thought this rain... Well, the rain has made things a lot more interesting, but in terms of actual positions on the track here, it hasn't done a lot of damage to Project Platypus or to Arix. If anything, it might open up the door here for Arix. Especially for Slim anyway, to try and open himself into a top 4 finish.
Yeah, Slim's got a good opportunity here to recover from. Remember, he did run out of fuel and lost probably the best part of 40 seconds, to be honest, if not longer.
Yeah, and that's usually not a good recipe for winning a championship, that's a certain. So Kanata's got 3 seconds. That will drop him certainly behind Asador. Slim's crashed!
Oh dear.
Slim's crashed, and as soon as we say something that it might open the door again for Arix, it definitely slams shut now.
He's 14 seconds back and counting because he definitely dipped his tyre onto the wet stuff. And yeah, like I said, you have to be perfect on the dry line to survive, and Slim hasn't been, essentially. His damage is gone though, so he's back up and running. 14 seconds off the back of Asador.
Yeah, it's absolutely... That is really not good. So, at the end of the day, I don't think Asador and Kanata are complaining, because that 3 seconds are just essentially going to switch those positions.
Nope, yep. But at the moment, so Pumpkin Patch in P7 and Chris is in P6. So both of the Pegasus guys are beating the 3 V2 guys at the moment. So it's the pendulum slightly swinging towards Pegasus, but I think they need a bit more than a 6th and a 7th and a DNF.
Potentially, given the fact that they currently have...
actually.
What? They currently have 8 points on both of the drivers right now, and then errata cards existing, which cancels out said 8 points. So realistically, should be tight finish for Project Platypus and Arix? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Iggy in second basically puts a nail in the coffin for that. BX and Perry are 4 and 5 anyway, so there's not really an awful lot going on there. Perry's 5 seconds ahead of BX, by the way.
Okay, BX has had a problem somewhere. That absolutely should not be the case.
On the last lap compared to the 9:28 of Perry.
Wow, okay. So outside shot of a podium for Perry. He is 53 seconds behind Ben though, so something extreme would have to happen. For example, Ben's rear left tyre going completely off because the track's too dry for his tyres.
Has to be paying at the end of this lap. Has to be.
Yep. And Iggy's tyres are in much better condition than Ben's.
They are.
Not so much of a worry, but by the end of the lap, these tyres absolutely shred if they are caught out on a dry track, and that's what's happening with Iggy and Ben right now.
Yeah, because Javi has now cleared 5 seconds on this lap.
Yeah.
It's game over again at the front, provided Javi doesn't make an extra mistake somewhere, an unforced error. BX is starting to try and close the gap in on Perry. But yeah, look at this. We actually got rain in a eSports race. I didn't think that would be likely possible, given the fact that we had like 4 tracks that could rain this season. We didn't have any at all.
Yeah, the fact that this is a 2-hour race probably helps. More potential rain slots in the settings. 30 seconds slower than his previous best, although it is a wet track as well. I wonder how much of that is the problems BX has been having.
No idea, but he is about 4.3 to Perry, and Chris is slowly gaining. Also, Kanata is now 4 seconds quicker than Pumpkin Patch since the last time we saw him.
Yeah.
Perry
and
is
he's
on
completely
a wheel,
left Asador as well. Kanata's left Asador, and he's catching up to Pumpkin Patch pretty quickly.
We say that as if he's not got 3 seconds and they're about to hand that entire time back.
Yeah, it's probably going to be 10 seconds that he's going to lose, but never mind.
It is
Javi's pit.
Yeah, there is the potential of more rain. I doubt it, but there is the potential of more rain. Perry is on a wheel, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, Perry's on wheel. I'm expecting Javi and Iggy probably to go on mediums and try and go all the way to the end.
Well, Javi hasn't got a choice. Javi can go to the end here.
Iggy would have to massively on short shift, which that BMW does not enjoy short shifting compared to some of these other cars. So this isn't great for Iggy, having to come in at this point. But he literally can't stay out a lap longer.
If he stays out a lap longer, Ben can come in and.
Yeah.
Oh, Ben's got double red.
Yeah, I thought it might happen. This is really bad news for Ben. He's lost 10 seconds to Perry already. The gap's now 42 seconds. And the difference in what we saw between Ben and Iggy was driving in the wet patches to keep his tyres in better nick. And
Ben is off the track!
Ben's been driving like that, so it's...
He's off the track again! He's got no tyres and he's crashing into everything in sight!
This went from really solid for Ben to potentially having a fight on his hands for that last podium spot with Perry and BX, because he's lost a huge chunk of time. It stands at 37 seconds. It was over 50 seconds, and it's going to drop to potentially 20 once Perry passes the little threshold where Ben started making his mistakes.
What, you mean like right now?
Right here, yeah.
It was 36 now, and he's going to go through these last couple of corners. It's 35, it's 32. It's gained about 5-ish seconds. That's surprisingly less than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a bit more. Ben obviously rescued himself from that situation better than how it looked.
Yeah.
So it's still looking comfortable for Ben going into the last few laps.
Out of all this, I'm incredibly intrigued, right? Because whether or not the wet line, and only the fact that there's a dry line forming, might help these guys that can't do the 5 laps on fuel without the short shifting. They might get there now, in terms of, because they can't go as quick. They have to be more careful. It might, but then again, it might also swing the pendulum right back into the favour of those that don't have to short shift just to exist. We've already seen one person flounder his fuel at the start of the race, and Javi has a 3-second time penalty for cutting the pit lane. However, I don't think he cares because he has a 21-second advantage.
Yeah, 21 and a half seconds is pretty good. He's put on the softs, and he hasn't fully fueled. Hold on. What's he done? What's Javi done? Javi might have just ruined his strategy here. He's going to have to pit again.
Iggy's got 3-second time penalty, so that negates the time penalty issue here. Iggy's on mediums.
Iggy might have to pit again. Unless he's super short shifting, which it looks like he's shifting at 50%, just above. Javi is gonna go really hard on the softs and then go again on the softs at the end. So that is, I don't know.
That is interesting.
Why did he do that?
Doing medium 5-lap medium stints the entire race. That's literally been his MO from start to finish. I don't understand.
I don't understand. But he's got a huge gap over Iggy. So...
Well, that's where the gap came from, isn't it? The only half fuel.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and Iggy had that penalty and was struggling on the last lap of those wets. But Iggy might go for it and not pit again. That's what I'd be trying to do if I was Iggy. Just manage this gap and then have track position at the end and just don't let Javi pass. But I don't know if his car could do it. I just don't. So Javi might be thinking there's absolutely no way Iggy can do that, even if he tries it. So I'm just going to go safe and do a 2-stopper and go for fastest lap on the softs when the track eventually dries. But I don't know. I don't think it's going to work.
I was about to say, given the fact that you can't really go for fastest lap here, right? Especially on this stint, purely because it's still wet. There's no hope of a fast lap here.
Well, the track is fully dry on the gauge on the racing line, so give it a lap or two, and we should be back to setting laps under the 8-minute 10 mark.
It's gonna be close. I think he might get one shot at the end. at the fastest lap, maybe 2 if he's lucky. I'd just take the race win. It's not down to Javi to win this championship now. He can't falter what he's done so far. He's had control of this race from start to finish. So it's not like Javi hasn't done his job, because he has, comfortably. Up to this point, he should have just gone under the medium, take the race win, and have his teammates pick up the slack.
Yeah, the problem is, right, when the rain comes out, it throws your strategy out the window. You don't know what the best tyre is, what the best strategy is, and Javi's had to think on the fly, and it might work out, it might not. We have to wait and see what Iggy can do. Can Iggy actually get 5 laps out of this BMW? It looks like he's going to try and do it.
The pit loss is about 40 seconds from what we've seen so far, somewhere between 35 and 40 seconds.
Yeah, it's a long pit lane.
It is a surprisingly long pit lane, considering they've cut half of it off, but that's a different thing entirely.
The X-Royal's back ahead of Perry, by the way, so Perry may be having a mistake somewhere.
And a 3-second penalty.
And a 3-second penalty, so he's struggled out of the pits as well.
On which lap is Pumpkin? Yeah, that's true. Let's have a look further down, because we were spending a lot of time there trying to figure out what Javi's just potentially done. Pumpkin's behind Slim, Asador, and Kanata, which means his gamble of staying out on that intermediate tyre did not work.
So Pumpkin's going to try and do the same strategy as Iggy at the front. He can go to the end on 5 laps, potentially, on those mediums. Slim is doing the same thing as Javi, so Slim's going to drop back down behind. Asador is going to have to pit again. Kanata is also going to have to pit again. So we're seeing a very different approach to this, depending on the drivers and the teams.
Yeah, also, it's been, what I've realised, that 3-second time penalty is not maybe a detriment, but more of a calculated acceptance of a risk, because it's just easier to get on. It's probably quicker to just get straight onto the racing line.
It's still quicker. The track. Well, it's also, if you are full throttling it out of the pit lane on dry tires, it's still very wet on that part of track. So you can easily just have a little twitch, and then all of a sudden you've gone slightly over that pit exit line, and that's where the 3 seconds comes from.
Yeah. Well, BX is clear by a country mile now on Perry, and that gap is about to double, if not triple, off of that 3-second time penalty. Ben is 27 seconds up the road, and quite frankly should be able to calm the storm there, and he should be able to end third.
Ben should be able to get to the end, yeah, absolutely.
Iggy
is going...
28
Sorry, go
seconds. On. Javi is only 28 seconds up. And by what we've seen so far in this race, he's going to have to catch minimum 7 seconds. Maybe more, depending on fueling, etc., during this final stop.
So, yeah, I agree. And just have a look, though. Compare Iggy's fuel. He is half shifting all the time, so that's why he's losing ground. Ben is on the same strategy as him. If we just go on Ben quickly.
Here we go. There's a 3-second time penalty. So actually, we're just 1 second while we figure out how this is going to unfold. It should stay around about the 28-second mark, but let's see if Javi's got anything in acceleration.
Seems like Javi's still actually gaining on him anyway, despite that. But yeah, Ben's got better fuel at the moment than Iggy, even though Iggy's half shifting. So that's how bad his fuel tank is in this race.
Mm-hmm. And Javi did gain a couple of tenths. So we've got, what, 3 laps now before the pit stops again?
Yeah, CMP thinks that Javi's going to be a pit stop ahead of Iggy by the time the pits come around.
I think it'd be very interesting. At the moment, he's definitely not.
No.
Oh, Ben, that's a bit risky. You don't want to be driving on that much in the wet. That's for certain. Even if the new physics has more grip, you're still playing with fire a little bit on the exit of those corners.
Still see a lot of damp on the track, which Ben just went through, and that's what made his car twitch around that corner as well. So he's not perfectly threading the needle onto the dry line, which he needs to be doing. But he's still, well, he's actually gapped BX by 2 seconds. He's going on the wet on the straight, which is a bit of a stupid thing to do as well. He needs to be staying on that dry line because that actually gives you a lot more traction as you're trying to accelerate. And if you're on the wet, then you're not going to reach the same top speeds.
Yeah, don't forget maybe a fuel thing entirely dependent on this as well. So he might be doing things maybe a little bit different to normal. We'll see how far he's going to get in terms of fuel. Iggy is on less fuel as well. Javi has now got 29.5 seconds as they enter the GP, well, about to exit, sorry, the GP section for the 13th time.
Iggy needs to be on 80% of fuel as he comes across the start-finish line. And looking at that fuel tank, he does have more than 75%. I do not think that he's on 80% there.
He's going to be fuel saving like mad.
He is fuel saving like mad. He physically can't fuel save any more than he has been.
It's going to be very, very interesting. I think they might be right purely on the fact that Iggy's got a car that the fuel that just cannot go.
Yeah.
Which is why I guess Javi did the 2-stop. But I still... Yeah. P3
yeah, if worst comes to worst, Iggy does get P2, that's true. He's got a minute ahead of Ben, so he can basically do what he wants, Iggy. If it doesn't work out with Javi, at least.
Yeah, we're looking ahead rather than behind. As for P3 for Pegasus, your driver DCing before the rain hitting is definitely a nail in the coffin you didn't want. I'd say that much.
Yeah.
It definitely made life a significant amount harder for you, that's for certain. Chris has got to find an extra couple of positions, and Pumpkin Patch has got to gain, realistically, positions on both Vassador and Kanata just to even stand a chance.
Yeah, but Slim might do Pegasus a little favour here. He's caught up to the back of Asseldor. Seems to be enjoying these conditions a lot more than Asseldor at the moment. And he's just going through turn 1 and 2 incredibly quickly there. Has to back out of it massively because Asseldor's car is just a kind of moving obstacle at the moment.
Also, I'm pretty sure we've now completed a full day cycle. The rain just adding on that a little bit more. So we might be going into afternoon potentially again. With the 11 times. Obviously didn't plan for the rain. How many will DNF? One.
Oh, here we go. Slim's going for it, and he's trying to stay on the dry line as we reach the hairpin. That was a great overtake. Great overtake on really tricky conditions, and absolutely no contact as well. So, fantastic maneuver, and the next up for him will be Kanata.
Yep, that's about as good of a move as you're going to get all day. Drying track, difficult conditions. Obviously, the changing conditions make that kind of overtake significantly harder. And he just nailed it. Straight to the inside. Dassador couldn't really put up a fight because by the time he realized Slim was there, it's too late. Yeah, so Kanata's the next one up the line. 4 seconds up the road. There is a yellow flag!
Oh, Perry's
it's
off.
Perry!
Perry went into the tyre barrier, it looked like.
It looked
potentially
like
putting a tyre on the wet stuff and spinning off. Because he was all on his own before that.
He's managed to avoid the damage, though, by the looks of things.
Right. This might change things with the Pegasus boys. Let's see. So we've got P5s now.
That's a fortunate turn of events there for Chris. And there might still be a very, very small amount of hope left in this one for Pegasus.
Where's Eroticos? Let's have a quick look at his points.
Is 11th.
He's still 11th.
Will end 11th, but won't actually finish his lap at all.
As it stands, V2 win by 18 points.
Okay. If Distinct had came in, he would have probably ended 10th or 11th or 12th. He would have been there or thereabouts. So it would have been realistically a lot closer, single digits for certain. But
if he'd have finished 10th,
also
they still would have lost if he'd have finished 10th. So Auto's a lap down now.
Auto is 9 minutes back after a 12-minute 22 lap and a 10-minute 39 lap.
Okay.
Clemson's in 11th. He's 2 minutes and 47 down on Eroticos. Never mind the rest of the grid. He hasn't been lapped yet. He's about 20 seconds off the case of it. Spin. And a lot of it. And then dry tyres are for a long time in the rain. Oh, Eroticos is round. It's not going to be anything.
He's all on his own, so it's not going to matter too much. He's probably driving a little bit in autopilot, to be honest.
If he keeps making mistakes like that, though, might cause something into question. But it definitely means that even more so that Distinct not
Yep.
staying in the lobby was even worse.
He's still about 7 minutes ahead of Auto Lastion, so...
Mr. A-star, A plus rank.
A-star.
A plus rank, who's just done a 10-minute lap around the Nordschleife. And
More
is
practice
lapped.
needed.
It's a shame
yeah.
it's not Brazat Chindi in a Group 4 car. You might actually do something at that point.
Yeah, but as for Pegasus, it looks like Pumpkin Patch is all on his own at the moment, so unless there's a mistake up front, he might be finishing P9, but there could be something, because Slim is all over the back of Vasildor now.
There's got to be a few mistakes here. There's got to be a few mistakes for Pegasus just to even think. As you said, it's 18 points. If Vasildor spins it here and drops, especially if he drops behind, that'd be a 12-point swing, remember?
Yeah.
So Pumpkin Patch absolutely minimum needs the positions on Kanata and Asador if they want to have a standing chance of this.
But remember, the V2 boys do have to come into the pits again, and Pumpkin Patch is going to try to hang it out until the end, just like
yellow
Iggy
flag,
is. There's a yellow
flag
somewhere.
It's Chris.
It's Chris.
And that's the
There
nail in
we
the
go.
coffin. That is the nail in the coffin. That is game over. That is V2 ending third in the championship. A mistake at the worst possible time. And Chris, who was doing really well, has once again proved our sentence at the top of the show that he's quick, but he has too many mistakes.
And now Slim's got, well, he's just closed the gap massively, and
That's
he's going to try and overtake off track, it looked like. It didn't quite manage it.
I'm pretty sure that would be a 3-second tyre penalty, isn't it? If you manage to stick that. Just 99% sure you're not allowed to overtake off the track, but...
Was almost reminiscent of Dan's overtake on the dude in Tier 1 off track.
You're certainly not allowed to do that. We'll see if Slim is able to overtake sooner rather than later. Anyway, that is a really badly timed error there for Chris.
Yep, 8+ seconds he's lost because Kanata's nearly that far ahead of him.
Well, he was ahead of Perry as well.
Oh, what's happened to... Yeah, oh yeah, we
Perry
saw Perry
crashed.
in the wars.
Yeah.
So Kanata's caught up to the back of Perry really well there.
Yeah, not only did Chris give the place to Perry back, which is a 4-point swing, he handed the place to Kanata as well, which is an 8-point swing on top. So that's game, set, and match, which isn't going to fall back without a bunch of mistakes now. Also in the lead, 31 seconds. Javi is still staying out. There's no way he's going to the end. Matei
He's
get
got
out
one
the room.
last lap. He's got one last lap in him, and he can strap on the sauce, just put a tiny bit of fuel in. Well, 40% of the tank, if you class that as tiny.
Tiny
It's
in
like
the grand scheme of
the
things.
closest to a splash and dash that you can get around the Nordschleife. But yeah, it's looking good for Javi. He's got 31-second lead. He isn't really extending the gap like he was. Let's have a look at Iggy. Is Iggy still fuel saving, or has he decided he's going to pit again? He's got... Oh, he's not... He might just about do it, you know. It's still very touch and go. He's upshifting at around 40% now.
Yeah. Also, the fact that Javi only has to put in 2 laps of fuel is going to bring down that 40 seconds quite drastically now. I think he might already have a pit stop gap. If not, he's very close to it and going to have to make a last lap overtake. One of the two is going to be
This lap's
true.
vital. Yeah, this lap's vital. Iggy's going to have the tyre advantage, so even though he's massively short shifting, he might be able to close the gap to within a pit stop of Javi on this lap. Because Javi's tyres have gone off pretty significantly here, despite the fact that this is a cold track. He's got around 50% left, and he's still got the whole of the Nordschleife to do.
Yeah. If Javi can keep this above 30 seconds, he will win this race. The question is he going to be ahead or behind in the pit after the pit stop? That's all you've got to ask right now. It's looking very convincing for an Eric's win for the final race of the season. It would be the first time that they've won an eSports race. Javi will almost certainly end in second, unless some absolute massacre happens in the last 3 laps here.
Yeah. He's still extending the gap as well, but only a little bit, you know. He's not really getting a huge advantage over Iggy, despite the short shifting. Kanata's the only one who's come in on this lap, so he's going to do 3 laps at the end on softs.
Yeah, which is what we expected people to do. Instead, they are not. And also, Javi is eyeing up a certain Panthera driver in the background of our picture there.
Yeah, no one in the Panthera team's going to finish on the lead lap of Nordschleife. That's bad.
There's the blue flags. There's the blue flags. There's the blue flag there. So let's have a look further back. So it's 31.7. Perry 25 seconds further back. Chris is 8 seconds off of Perry. Needs to get that position back. Obviously, he doesn't have to pit again. So well, he might not have to pit again. I don't know. He will beat both the V2 drivers. If he can get that position back on Perry as well, with maybe a Perry mistake, we're back to where we were before. Pumpkin Patch is there, may I add. Unfortunately, he is ahead of Slim. I'm not entirely sure what the hell happened to Slim.
Slim's gone in the pits. Look, he's got fresh tyres and extra fuel. Yeah, no, you're right. I'm not entirely sure in terms of... Wasn't Slim quite drastically beside Kanata and Asseldor, though? No, Kanata had a lead. He got past Asseldor, didn't he? But Asseldor stayed out. And Asseldor is only a second ahead of Kanata, despite Kanata pitting, I think?
Yeah, Kanata just pit.
Yeah, so not the best time. Asseldor's not had the best last couple of laps, basically. 8.54 and 8.53 are his last 2 laps. That's insane.
Okay, so Kanata will go by. That's going to be a scheduled move, and it's going to be done now.
Yeah.
Pumpkin's still got to beat them both. He's still got to beat them both, realistically, to even have a chance. Hello, Pika. I don't know if you're new here, but if you are, welcome. Yeah, I don't know if Asseldor... I don't know if Pumpkin's got this in him. He's got 3 laps. He's got to make some sort of move happen. And he's got to make it quickly.
He could get Asseldor, I reckon.
Yeah, Chris is hoping on a mistake.
Chris has got damage.
Oh, yep, that means Chris has made his mistake instead of hoping for a mistake. Yeah, that's true, because it was single digit second. It's now 15.
Yeah.
Which means that Chris is now hoping on a prayer. Just to get himself out of Perry. He's going to need a miracle now. Also, can I just say, what is interesting here is that the top 5 are going to be the only people who finish this race. Minutes. And Chris has just now dropped outside of the 3 minutes with the mistake. So the top 5 are the only people who are going to finish this race with a classification. Yeah. Everyone else will finish technically a lap down.
Damn. Not wholly unsurprising, though. Javi is going to have to pit, though, so that's going to maybe allow 1 or 2 more drivers to finish the race. Apparently the live is lagging. Is there something wrong with your internet? Because I saw it in mine, but I thought it was my issue.
Yeah, apparently so.
Oh, it seems to be okay right now.
I don't know. No, they're saying that it's lagging. That's not good. I don't know what I can do to fix that.
I think it's fixed itself. Imagine if the lobby crashes now.
The lobby's fine. I have no internet issues. There's nothing wrong with this. There's nothing.
Okay.
There's nothing here that defines a potential internet issue on my end.
It looks better now. It looks better now.
I think it was just lagging for about a split second. Everything will be fine. Javi will have to pit again. We'll see how close he is to Iggy on the pit. For ice on the PS5, it's not the PS5. I know that much. It was cleaned less than a month ago, guys. Come on. But yeah, Ben's coming third. That's nailed in. You can write that one down.
Despite his huge issue before he came into the pits, he's still a massive 28 seconds ahead of BX Royal, so it's not going to be a problem.
Perry 30 seconds behind that. 14 seconds now. Chris is starting to close back in. Pumpkin is closing in on Asseldor as well. That was 7 seconds at the beginning of the lap. It's now 5.5. Slim also there and thereabouts. So Pumpkin needs Asseldor. He realistically needs Kanata to screw up. bear in mind, they've already done, everyone here has done their pit stops. They're already settled into what they're going to do for the end of this race.
So it's just Javi that we're waiting on.
Yeah, Pika, this is eSports. It's just the best of the best we have in the league, essentially, and the people who want to join as well. We've got another couple of teams in the wings for next season as well. We're just waiting on a couple of confirmations. So, Javi, into the pits. So, here's the big question. How long is this pit stop going to take? Is it going to be 30 seconds? Iggy potentially needs to get a move on. He's not got 50%. He might have more than the 40%. Pumpkin is currently in ninth for about 5 seconds off the back of Asador. Needs to get a move on really quickly. So, here we go. Javi has just started fueling. Iggy is now onto the line. He is coming down the straight. Javi has finished fueling. Is he in front?
It's going to be tight.
Iggy is not close enough by any means. And that should be game over.
Yeah, that was a good stint there for Javi once again, managing to stretch out enough of a gap, plus about 3 seconds to keep it safe ahead of Iggy. Now he's got fresh softs, he's only got 2 laps left. He can really go for it and potentially get the fastest lap points as well to finish off a perfect pole win and fastest lap for the final race of the season, which is double points as well.
Yeah, right. Nice time to pick a race to win if you're going to win one. You just had to get yourself within arm's reach to actually be able to fight it and fight for the actual title, and they did not do that through the first 7 races of this season. And Arix are going to probably close in right a little bit here overall, but they're going to be lamenting thrown away chances this season.
They've made a lot of mistakes this season, Arix. The title fight should have been a lot closer. Project Platypus didn't make anywhere near as many mistakes, and I think that is the only difference between the two of them. Of course, PP had some really strong lineups like Iggy, Viking and BX on one or two occasions, which is really difficult to compete against. But even still, Javi and Slim especially had some really good opportunities to win races. Even Kepler as well, but they all made mistakes. Yeah, they all made mistakes at crucial points.
That's the one that blares into thought, right? Because Kep had that one. The Arix guys they're being held off for free. All 3 of the Arix guys being held off by Anru or V2. And you look at moments of that, and that's where you can point to and go, they simply wasn't good enough in that kind of situation where the pressure was on them. They just didn't deliver enough, and that's why they've lost this title.
Yeah. So what does Arix need to win? Essentially what had to happen was a 1-2-3 for Arix, but they're 1-3 and I think 9 or 10 at the moment. And they needed
5,
Project
6,
Platypus
7,
to finish 5, 6, 7, but they are 2, 4, 5. So it's gone really well for Project Platypus today. They're still all in the top 5, despite all of the trials and tribulations of the race, because everyone else has really struggled at various points, whether it be the rain, the strategy, or just keeping it on track.
Pumpkin's been overtaken by Slim as they come up to the back of Asador here.
Yeah, so it took Slim quite a while to get past Pumpkin, actually. But he's ahead now. Pumpkin putting a bit of pressure back on him as well.
Pumpkin's best hope here is that Slim now catches up and puts some pressure on, because, Chris is in the pits. Well, that's then, isn't it?
Yeah, he's going to have some overtaking to do on track. Absolutely.
That puts any damper on that, and that's just the nail on a really, really bad day for Pegasus in terms of trying to get that P3.
Just point out, Kanata currently in P6. That's fantastic.
He's definitely had a good day at the office for certain. He could have had more, realistically. Should have had more in terms of Perry having his multiple malfunctions, BX a couple of times too. Yeah, there's a few things that could have gone better for him, but he's definitely going to be happy with his 6th place, that's for sure. And I think V2 will be happy with that too. It's going to secure them 3rd next season. This season, sorry, and we go into the end of season 1, beginning of season 2. And with 1.5 laps left to go, it may not be perfect for Project Platypus, but it hasn't been far away. 7 from 8, 6 different winners. And the only thing that's going to spoil the party today is the fact that Javi has finally decided he wants to win a race. It's taken 8 races in the season, and he's finally got Clemson. Yep. But yeah, he's definitely shown up today. With the rain, it looks less comfortable than it has been. But without the rain, he would have won by 50 seconds. So take it as you will.
Yeah. And I think this is a good example of how good the Mazda is post-update as well. It's got the tyres, it's got the fuel, it's got the speed, and he's managed to get P2 last week, P1 this week. I don't know why random people keep joining the lobby, but
it's titled eSports. It's not exactly like I've not titled it properly.
You're not called it ALR practice. Hey.
Mazda ban next season? No. We're not banning the cars for this. We're not banning the cars as far as I'm aware for this.
The Mazda's not OP anyway compared to other cars. Like, you got the Porsche there, you got the Ferrari there, so absolutely no reason for a car ban. We used to have car bans a long time ago, and then we dropped them, and it's worked out just fine. I'm glad the Porsche is banned though. If we were going to ban any car next season, it would be the Porsche, but every tier it finished in the top 5 in anyway, so it's just banned by default. So there's a conversation we didn't have to have.
Yeah, thankfully. And well, in eSports, well, everyone's gonna have to deal with everyone being in a Porsche.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bans only exist for the top 5 in the championship, and that won't be dropped anytime soon. That's the way we've been doing it. That's the way we've been doing Mondays forever. And whilst we got rid of OP car bans, we won't be getting rid of the actual bans positioning.
Yeah.
But yeah, right, we're on lap 13. Javi has a 10-second gap, so there's definitely no way back without a mistake now. Ben is only 13 seconds.
Yeah, BX is doing a bit better at the moment than Ben. So I don't know if Ben had a mistake somewhere, but that gap was, I'm pretty sure, 20-something seconds before.
Yeah, and we're just going down the list now. Slim, 10 seconds off the back of Kanata's, 5 seconds clear of the rest. And we've got a three-way battle here. And whilst they might be about to take 8 points total, well, I think, yeah, 8 points total for themselves and 8 points off Asador, so a 16-point swing, it's nowhere near enough.
Yep, Asador just 4/10 ahead of Pumpkin Patch. His tyres going off a little bit quicker than Pumpkin Patch last time we saw. So
this is still very much the case.
Yeah, and I think Chris will want to get past straight away because he's got the better tyres, and Pumpkin Patch actually goes off track to allow it to happen. But this is yeah, it was a bit scruffy, wasn't it? But now Chris should find it pretty easy to overtake Asador, and if you can overtake him in a good spot, then that could open the door for Pumpkin Patch to go through as well. And then that is a good little swing towards Pegasus to keep the gap at the end of the season quite modest, as opposed to a solid gap that they've currently got V2 as it stands.
Yeah, Pegasus just waited too long to put the good drivers in.
Oh, here we go.
Chris
here we go.
Having a go there. Yeah, Pegasus just waited too long, I think, to try and bring the air game, and it cost them because they started the first couple of weeks absolutely horrendously. Here comes Chris again, defended by Asador, and it's almost both of them off the track there. That did not look too great.
I'm amazed they kept it
still
on the
side
track.
by side, and a little bit of contact, more contact between the two of them as well. As Chris
I can't believe they stayed on track, but Chris has got past somehow. That was
absolute insanity.
I don't even know what to make of that. I don't know what to make of that. I mean, probably just on the bounds of acceptable, considering nothing too bad happened there. But yeah, Chris got through. He's going to be able to really push for these last 2 laps. So even if he got like a 5-second penalty, I'd expect him to finish 5 seconds ahead of Asador anyway. But to be honest, probably not a penalty. But Pumpkin Patch is the next one to try and get a move on Asador.
I think we call that 6 in one, half a dozen in the other. They both made moves there that they probably shouldn't have made, in particular. Going through those last couple of corners. Pumpkin Patch is going to have to make a move now. He's got to get himself in front of Astrodog. If for nothing else, momentum into next season. That's what it's got to be, because they have essentially picked up. Well, they started poorly, and that's what's cost them a chance at the top 3. Let's be honest. You don't ever get away with a start like that. Especially not at this level. And they can just take what they're doing now. The fact that the pace is definitely there. Chris could have had top 5 today. We could have said that on numerous tracks throughout the season. They've had Richard, who's put up a good fight as well when he's drove, and moved that into next season, where they might be able to look for a top 3. Even if we move into the 10-team championship, they might be looking for a top 3 or 4, depending on how quickly Halix hits the ground running. So yeah, there's a lot that Pegasus need to. They'll be happy with at the end of this season, but they need to do maybe some reflection going into next season of how serious they want to take it after going a little bit awkwardly, and there goes Pumpkin Patch for measure, and that sums it up realistically.
He didn't get damage somehow.
I think he might have got saved by the gravel in terms of the damage, but yeah, he's tailed off now. He's going to have to find a way back. Slim is starting to catch up a little bit to Kanata. Kanata's fine. And actually, that's a lie, because Kanata is going after Perry. Kanata isn't done. Maybe a top 5 in the books, and it will be a top 5 in the books for the Supra. Kanata is absolutely flying in this race, and, well, V2 needed that.
Right, I'm putting down the GR Supra as one to test, because this is a fantastic performance here from Kanata. P5 in the GR Supra in a race where he made a huge mistake on lap 1. He was quite a way down, and he's caught up and overtaken a lot of drivers who are in higher tiers. Remember, Kanata's in tier 3. Yeah,
Kanata's in tier 3 on a regular Monday, and Perry's just won tier 2. For reference in terms of what just happened there. Albeit Kanata does have significantly a softer compound. They're not significantly better.
About even, yeah.
They're about even in terms of the wear, but Kanata doing a very good job at this, and even purple through the first sector on the final lap of this race. Won't go anywhere other than 5th. BX has got that nailed off right now as he looks to try and take this last lap to Ben here, who's only 9 seconds ahead now.
Yep, if Ben makes a mistake, then BX is going to close right up, but so Ben just has to keep it on the black stuff and he'll be alright. Check if Javi's purple. Let's have a look.
Yeah, let's see. We'll get a look at the next checkpoint marker.
You can tell he's pushing because he's sliding around that corner. He doesn't really need to look after the tyres because this is only his 2nd lap of 2. Incredibly low fuel as well.
I was about to say the game's over essentially as well, given the fact that unless he makes the mistake himself, Iggy's not catching. And even if he does make a mistake himself, it's going to have to be a substantial mistake because Iggy's 20 seconds off the back. So he's got to get this. Javi doesn't necessarily even have to get this right, but he should be able. 3.5 seconds purple. Well,
already.
That 807 is about to become an 804 and an 803 at this rate.
Are we going to get a sub 8-minute lap? To finish off the season, sub 8 minutes, let's go. I think it's possible.
It would be a massive display of pace. It is a qualifying lap. This is essentially a qualifying lap. He is 3.1 and he's actually slower than the purple lap in that sector, sorry. On the final lap here, and he goes now toward the carousel in the final lap, 16 to 16. He's currently 3 up, so he's currently looking on for an 804, somewhere in the region of an 804.6, if he can keep this going. And well, it certainly won't be sub 8 minutes, but it is going to be a statement of intent, I think, from Arix here, especially from Arix Javi, as he looks to put a stamp on this season and potential momentum. Just gaining a ton of momentum here into the beginning of next season. He gained that half second back, so it's now 3.6. He's now looking to the low to 804s. as we go through with, what, 3-4 sector marks left of this race?
Yeah.
I think, between now and the end of the race. The Nordschleife has so many sectors that I've lost count at this point. But yeah. It could be an absolute statement of intent, this. Bearing in mind, Project Platypus has had it all their own way this season. They've won 7 races. They've had 6 different winners. So they've shown they've got depth in their team. But they're losing some of their key players. Iggy's going to Halix in particular. There's a few that might be, that are rumoured about as well, that might be changing in the sphere of eSports here at ALR. So
yeah, we're gonna start having a silly season in ALR where drivers might move between teams. So we'll have to see what happens with that. Let's see if anyone gets poached. I know a couple of drivers have been approached by other teams, and some may have said yes, and some may have said no. So we'll have to wait and see how the lineups look next season. Of course, there's this whole potential for 5 new teams. So some of the drivers in these existing teams might move to one of the new teams. Yeah. We know that's going to be the case for Iggy if Halix are one of the teams on the grid next season, which is looking very likely they are if we do get the full 5.
But yeah, there's still this next 2 weeks are going to be absolute silly season. Then you'll get the calendar release in a couple of weeks time, and then everyone's going to get ready for with their rosters for the 1st of September. So we've got a lot as we go along. You're meant to have got out the goddamn lobby already. But here we go. It's been an almost perfect season here for Project Platypus. They're going to win the championship with flying colours here, put under pressure and responded brilliantly. However, it won't be 8 from 8. It won't be another Project Platypus win here, because over the double distance, it had only been one man who reigned supreme. 16 laps here at the Nordschleife has been absolutely dominated by the man crossing the line as Javi goes over the line to win Arix's first race of the season, saving the best to last, and a potential statement made for next season.
Yeah, great win there by Javi. Over 23 seconds ahead of Iggy now. So that's a fantastic victory for him. Fastest lap goes to Javi as well with an 8-minute 3.1. Iggy is going to come home best of the Project Platypus boys in P2. Great win for P2 for him. Still only with the 1 race win this season though, Iggy, which was at Watkins Glen.
It's a seal of the championship. That's what Iggy will care about rather than winning. It's a championship in the books. Project Platypus now confirmed champions, unless it's quite literally a mass disconnect in the next 20 minutes. The next 20 seconds, sorry, not 20 minutes. So, we've got MK coming to the line now. He's only 6 seconds up on BX. He's having a bit of a mare out of the mini carousel there. And it looks like he's going to get 3rd. There is not a way that Arix can win this championship now. It has been sealed. BX is 4, Perry is in 5 at this point in time. We are going through. There's only like a couple of minutes left before the game time's out. There is absolutely no chance of this swinging. It's been dominated from start to finish, this championship from Project Platypus. They have deserved it. They are going to be the first, the only team that can say this, the first ever ALR eSports champions. It is going to be confirmed. Arix is basically too little too late. They needed an extra week or to show up like this. Maybe half a month ago, it might have been a good idea. But they didn't, and it's all been one-way traffic in the championship, and it continued that way. Ben will get himself on the bottom step of the podium. Arix will take the 1-3. They'll win the race for the first time in this season, but it is not going to stop the PP lads from going and celebrating till the car come home tonight. It's absolute domination this season. Perry's got Perry might be Perry's not even going to get to the line. So only the top 4 are going to finish this one. It's going to be unfortunate for Kanata because he might have been able to go after Perry in this one. But with essentially about 20 seconds-ish left on the clock here, it's not going to happen. It's going to be Perry in 5th, so 2, 4, and 5 for Project Platypus, 1, 3, and 7 for Arix. V2 will actually get themselves into 3rd position in the standings. They've held off Pegasus, who had a late charge but couldn't avoid the mistakes.
Oh, there we go.
And he almost had a heart attack for a minute then.
we need to go to the results screen and see where everyone else finished.
Yeah, that gave me a miniature heart attack. I genuinely thought that almost just straight out. It just went pitch black. I thought my PS5 had crashed for a minute then.
Right,
yeah.
Let's have a quick look at the second half of the grid.
So that's how we end.
Asselt on 9th.
Absolute carnage in the end. Clemson actually finished the race as well, just a lap back.
10th Pumpkin Patch.
It was not to be for Panthera. They ended bottom by quite some margin in the end. The 4th place for Pegasus, 3rd place for V2, 2nd for Arix, and Project Platypus runaway leaders at the end of Season 1 here in ALR eSports. They'll take the very first championship we have on offer. The second one will start on the 8th of September. You'll hear more about it going through the season. We might do a little something to make everyone aware of all the driver changes. We also have a calendar release coming up as well. That will be So if the cards have to be in, but the cards on the rosters by the 1st, the calendar will be the 25th or something.
Yeah,
it's something of that about that time. So in 2 weeks, 2 weeks to the day, or 2 weeks and 1 day, shall I say, 15 days time, we will actually have a calendar release for season 2. Hopefully we'll have 10 teams in there by then. Hopefully, that's the hope.
Hopefully, that is the aim. That's what we're working towards. But back to this season, just quickly, I've got the standings in front of me. Project Platypus win by 55 points in the end. 487 Project Platypus, 432 for Arix. So it was mighty dominant. 7 out of 8 race wins go to PP, 1 for Arix. They did get all the P2s apart from that last race. 3rd place for V2, 245 points, ended up beating Pegasus by 40 points in the end. So it was looking good at phases for Pegasus, but V2 ending quite strongly, especially with Kanata dragging them over the line. And then Panthera with 150 points, so that's 55 behind Pegasus.
Yeah, it's become fairly comfortable in the end for each team and where they've ended. And apparently we've got information that Javi actually botched the final pit, the second to last pit stop he did, and went on to the wrong tires.
It was a mistake. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't as big of a mistake, but at least that explains why we just didn't understand what was going on. So.
Yeah, it was a mistake he got away with at the end of the day. But it's one that he won't care about. He finally got a race win on the board for Arix. And next season, that's what it's got to be for them, right? They've got to look at this. They never really had a chance of winning it today without a mistake or 2 or 5 or 100, actually, probably more accurate. But they can look at this and take that win and that 3rd position that they got today as a statement of intent, a momentum swing for next season if they can keep it going.
Yeah, definitely. But I think that just leaves us to say, well, thanks for watching this season. This has been a very well-watched live stream every Sunday, so we hope that we've given you some entertainment. Next season's looking to be a really good one, like we've been talking about, and we're looking forward to it. It seems to have worked out really well this first season of eSports, so it is something that we're going to continue putting a lot of effort into to try and make it better for you guys.
Best commentary of GT7. Thank you for the compliment to end that off. Yeah, it's been a fun season. Doing commentary, roasting everyone every week with Ross with Ross in the box here as well. It's been. I've enjoyed this. I don't think I've been in a position for a long time where I've actively enjoyed coming to a race every single week, and that's the main thing.
It definitely doesn't seem like a chore, which sometimes doing commentary can. This definitely is a bit of fun. So yeah, we thank you for enjoying our ramblings, I guess.
Honestly, I think the 2 hours one has been definitely a success as well. We've actually managed to keep it running as well. So might have to.
I think the rain helped. The rain helped. If it didn't rain, it might have got a bit. That was like resetting the button in terms of excitement.
Yeah, but yeah, we've had an enjoyable season here. We'll see you guys. Next announcement in 2 weeks' time for a calendar. But for the next race, we'll see you in just under a month, give or take, the 8th of September. But we'll see you
Apart
then.
from Race of Champions, I'm doing Race of Champions tomorrow, so watch all the fastest guys from every tier. The top 3 from every tier is racing tomorrow, which is the first time we've got the best of every single tier actually available. It's at Trial Mountain, 1 hour, all 3 compounds are needed, 6 times tyre wear. It's going to be really interesting to see how the guys do. It's going to be reverse grid as well, so we've got the tier 5 guys starting on pole, and Viking is last.
Yeah. So lots to look forward to. We've got a lot to keep you in the mood. We've got a Champions Cup that starts on Thursday as well, which is a nice little off-season thing we're running to keep the racing flowing for the next month. But yeah, apart from that, we said all we've had to say. We've covered the entire season. It's come, kind of came down to the last race, not really. But yeah, we hope everyone enjoyed this. We'll see who's on what team next season, who's on what in what colours next season. Apparently the new look for Pegasus coming.
Okay.
But yeah, until then, in a bit.